Welcome to Azeroth United, a weekly podcast about World of Warcraft. My name is Denethar, and I am your host.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. It's Wednesday night in Azeroth, and we've got a great show lined up for you. This is the 100th episode of Azeroth United, and to celebrate this special milestone, it's also the 2-year anniversary, mind you. But to celebrate this special milestone, we're going to do 2 interviews that I've done. I did these a couple weeks ago, and I really enjoyed them, and I wanted to share them with you. The first one is with Stuglife, who is one of our longtime listeners, Patreon subscribers, Discord members, and just really an all-around good guy. So I had an interview with him, and I really enjoyed doing that. The second interview is with the host of Solo Q WoW, Dave Gagne. He is also a really great guy and fellow podcast host, and really enjoyed that one as well. So hopefully you enjoy those also. I had a good time doing them. I had a good time talking with those guys, and hopefully things are all good. So so that's what we're gonna do this episode. I originally intended to record this episode a couple days ago, but we ended up staying at the shore an extra day. If you're not aware, I just got back from the Eastern Shore. My wife grew up going to Chincoteague Island in Virginia, which is a little island just off the coast of Virginia, off of the Delmarva Peninsula, which is Delaware, Maryland, and Virginia. It's a little island over there. There's Chincoteague Island, and then there's Assateague Island. Both of those islands are really kind of an interesting place to. I had never been. It was very interesting to go and check that out. The whole there's a lot of local legend in that area, and there's a whole story about a Spanish galleon that's shipwrecked off the shore of the island, and there was horses on board, so those horses swam to shore and became wild horses. So if you're familiar with Chincoteague at all, and you know of the Chincoteague ponies, that's where the legend comes from. Was that true? Did that actually happen? I don't know. That's what the locals say, but some people say that, it was just people put their horses out there to pasture because of tax reasons or whatever. I don't know. But it was a really cool place to visit. I hadn't been to the Atlantic Ocean since I was like 17, so that's been 30 plus years ago. So that was really fun to be able to go see the Atlantic Ocean in the middle of a hurricane, which was interesting. Hurricane Aaron hit right offshore, or it was sending us some bad weather. But the wife and I just walked on the beach anyway, because that's what heroes do. But yeah, we had a really good time. We did the beach every day, at least that we could. It was closed a few days, but and ate a lot of Maryland blue crab. If you've ever eaten Maryland blue crab, it's really good, but it's a tremendous amount of work for a small amount of meat. So I did enjoy it, but it's not something I want to do all the time, because like I said, it's a lot of work, and it's very rich meat. So I mean, that was a new experience for me. It did not have soft shell crab. If you're going to ask that, I did not try the soft shell crab. If you don't know what soft shell crab is, Google it, and then you'll know. If you do know what soft shell crab is, I ain't doing that. My mother-in-law piled up the soft shell crab one night at dinner and was loving it, but that's not for me. The vacation overall was really good. My oldest daughter and her fiance came down to spend some time with us as well this past weekend, which was really nice. They're out of Virginia as well, but they had to drive through DC and all that. So so that was really fun. I had a good time with all that. I missed, of course, all of the Gamescom stuff. I missed all of the Race to World First stuff. What's going on with Legion Remix. And there's a lot of news that I was not able to be part of, because the Airbnb, it wasn't an Airbnb, it was just a rental house that we got for the week, did not have Wi-Fi. So we called the place, and they were like, we'll send somebody out to fix it, and they never did. So I was without Wi-Fi for the week. I have my phone, obviously, but the internet on the island was kind of spotty anyway. So we just spent our time doing stuff, and we went. So there's an old 1800 something or it was built in like 1866 lighthouse that we went to the top of. We got to see a bald eagle nest, which was really cool. We went for hikes on the beach. We went for walks, and we played in the surf, collected seashells. We did boat tour. I mean, it was really a cool trip, and I would love to go back. We'll see. Yeah, that'll be fun. So so did that, and it's like a 12 hour trip from Cincinnati to the shore. So I was pretty tired coming home from that, and coming back to the house and trying to get back onto normal time instead of living on island time. Island time is like, if you've ever gone to an island for vacation, it's like a totally different experience. Your brain turns off, and you're not thinking about all this other nonsense that you got to deal with. It's like, nope, I don't care. That's island time. I'm going to have another drink. And so that's what we did. We just sat around and we drank a bunch, and ate good seafood. Had clams on the half shell, which was interesting. Learned how to shuck a clam. Did not try the oysters, but I've had oysters before when I lived in California. So that wasn't like a super big deal, but the clams was interesting. If you've ever had clams on a half shell, also look that one up. It's kind of gross, but I mean, it tastes as good. So I don't know. Yeah, so that was a lot of fun. I had a good time, and I'm really glad that we got the opportunity to do that. It was very fortunate that was available to us, to my wife and I, to go. So, yeah, so that's what was going on. So yeah, no WoW last week at all. Really, there's just nothing. I haven't even logged on since I got back. Honestly, I haven't even done any of the new. I did like the very basics of the patch content before I left, but I still haven't upgraded my cloak and done all that stuff on retail. I have not logged on to Classic for like 2 weeks either. So yeah, it's been it'll take me some time to get back into the swing of things, but it'll be fun. So we did get all of the Gamescom announcements last week, and I honestly have not had time to process any of it. I wanted to get this episode out this week, so I'm going to spend this weekend going through all of the Gamescom announcements for World of Warcraft Midnight, the new systems that are going in place, the new Demon Hunter spec, the new Allied race, all of that stuff. I'll give you my thoughts, my opinions on all of that. I will kind of try to parse it out and here's what's going on. But everybody with a YouTube channel and a podcast has already talked about, hey, here's what's coming. So really all I want to do is kind of give my thoughts on it and kind of some discussion on where we're going to go from here, especially going into the rest of the World Soul Saga and what it means for World of Warcraft in general. So also talk a little bit about, I'll get to the next week, probably talk a little bit about Classic, and because there's some real questions about the number of people who are actually playing Miss Pandaria Classic. So we'll get into all that next week's episode. This week's episode, however, will be dedicated to the 2 interviews that I mentioned. So we'll do that, and I'll introduce those when we get to that point, and I hope you enjoy. So the only other thing that I wanted to mention before we get into that is the Race to World First, which finished last week. Congratulations to Team Liquid. They did the clean sweep of the War Within. They got all 3 bosses first. So that's Queen Ansarek, Galliwix, and now Dimensius. I watched the VOD for the Dimensius kill. It was really good. It's a cool fight. I can't wait to do it. Have not done it yet, obviously, but I'm really excited about that. I think it's a really good final boss. I think as far as final bosses go, is a good number of pulls. The difficulty I think was appropriate, but it wasn't absurd. Like a jailer fight or something like that. So I think overall I'm really satisfied. I'm bummed that I missed the Race to World First, but I think that this was a good race just in general, having gone through everything after the fact. So yeah, and it'll be really interesting going into Midnight now that we're going to have 3 raids that launch with Midnight. How the Race to World First is going to go for that. So that'll be really interesting as well. So we'll get into all that down the road. But yeah, congratulations to Team Liquid. Job well done. Yeah, that's an impressive feat. And I'm sure that the other teams are right now scrambling, trying to figure out how they are going to crack the monolith that is Team Liquid. So I guess we'll see. Right. And then, and I guess that's about it. So, anyway, like I said, I've got 2 interviews that I did for the 100th anniversary episode. So here's the deal. So I started this podcast 2 years ago. August 26, 2023 was when I released my first episode. And it was terrible. I was playing hardcore at the time, and I really focused on that and didn't really know how to do a podcast. And so I just started, I had a headset with one of those microphones that comes in front of your mouth, and I used that, and the audio was terrible. So I put a sock over because I didn't have any tools or anything. So I put a sock over the microphone to kind of create a windsock vibe for it, and it worked sort of. So I did that for the first 2 episodes, and then eventually I bought a microphone. I bought a I can't even think what it's called now. I basically, it's like a room mic. If you're playing music or something, I got one of those, but it picks up every little sound, your keyboard, your mouse, your chair creaking. It really picks everything up. So then I've switched out and got a dynamic mic, which is what I'm using now. It's a terrible, cheap little one. I mean, it works fine, but eventually I'll have to replace it. But that's part of the process. You got to learn, well, what hardware do I need? What tools do I need? How do I want this to go? What do I want to do? The biggest thing for me was learning what to talk about. How do I know what to talk about, and how do I structure every episode? Because I did decide early on I wanted to do a weekly podcast. And that's a lot of work, especially when there's no news and you've got to kind of come up with a topic to discuss when there's really nothing going on. So that was hard at first, but I think eventually I figured it out, and I've been pretty good at kind of some of those dry spots, coming up with a topic and going through that. Not great. I'm sure you've heard some episodes that you went, that was kind of a nothing episode. And I'm sorry. I'm trying. I do have, now that I've done some interviews, I've got some interviews on my belt, and I've really been enjoying doing that. I'm going to have some more interviews coming up in the next few months. I've got some that I'm working on right now. I've got an interview for Legion Remix. I've got a Twitch streamer that I've been going back and forth with. So hopefully we can get those going here soon, and you guys can enjoy a little bit more of an interview-focused podcast episode every now and then. So that'll be pretty cool. But yeah, 100 episodes is a lot, as I learned. When I was going through this, and I was doing, episode 50, episode 60, and I was thinking, okay, I think episode 50 was when the War Within launched, which was really cool, the timing of that. And I had a lot of fun covering the launch of the War Within and all of the discussion around that, the early access and the delves and all of the new features that we got with the expansion. That was really fun. I was able to talk about the release of the announcement of the World Soul Saga at BlizzCon 2 years ago. That was really fun. I'm hoping to be able to get to BlizzCon this year or next year, but I don't know. My daughter is getting married in July, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to do 2 vacations in a row like that. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I don't know. I mean, I'd love to go to BlizzCon, and I'm planning to right now, but there's a lot of projects that the wife wants to do around the house, so maybe that won't happen. I don't know. We'll see. Well, as we get closer to BlizzCon, I'll kind of update that, and we can talk about that. And if anyone wants to go to BlizzCon and it's like, hey, Dennis, are you going to be there? I want to say hi and give you a high five and a handshake, or buy you a beer, or punch you in the face. Let me know if you're planning to go, and maybe we can set something up, and I'll try and make that happen. So we'll see, especially if you want to punch me in the face. I'm sure there's a lot of people that would I'd be happy to be able to do that. So maybe that's something that we can do a special Patreon tier for punching me in the face. So I'm kidding. So, right. And then, so anyway, 2 years, 100 episodes. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a really good journey. I don't know that I would do it the same way if I had to do it over again, but it's definitely been fun, and I've enjoyed it. If you go back and you listen to those old early episodes, like especially 1 through 10 or 20, they're pretty bad. They're pretty bad. Every now and then I'll look at the download list on the podcast hosts, and I'll see that somebody listened to one of those old episodes, and I go, "Oh man, don't listen to those; they're terrible." But that's fine, it's part of the historical record, right? This is where I started out. I didn't do a good job for the first, third of the show, but I feel like I've done a lot better. I've been able to get to a better point, and so hopefully you're enjoying the show as well. So, right. That's enough of me rambling. Let's move on to these interviews. Like I said, I've got two. The first one that we're going to start with. So, very early on, I got the idea of, I'll start a Discord server, and because a lot of the podcasts that I listen to have a Discord server, the Starting Zone, Countdown to Classic, Thrall's Balls, For Azeroth, they all have Discord servers. Do Not Relent, another pod. And so I was like, I need to start my own Discord server. And so I did. I started a Discord server. I added an account that's kind of like my bot account to kind of keep track of other permissions and everything. And that was it. Nobody joined right away. And I thought, oh man, I've made a mistake. And I put this out there already on the episode. And so I was like, should I just close it and then say, you know what, I closed the Discord server and we're not going to do it. And then before I was able to do that, is when I got Stuglife joined the Discord server. And I was like, okay, so somebody joined the server. Cool. That's fun. And he's been the coolest, chillest guy since that time. Getting to know him and talk to him throughout the past, year and a half has been really fun. And when I got the idea of doing some interviews for the 100th episode, I immediately thought of Stuglife, and so I reached out to him and asked if he would be interested in doing an interview. He said, of course. And so that's what we did. So I really enjoyed it. It was a good interview. It's a really good way to kind of get to know somebody, to just sit and talk to them and ask them questions, even if you already know the answer to it, but to hear their responses and kind of go through it. So I really enjoyed it, and hope you do too. He's been a patron for almost as long as I've had the Patreon up. He's just been a huge supporter of the show, and I really do appreciate it. And he's just a great guy. So enjoy the interview with Stuglife, and I'll talk to you on the other side. All right. Well, we're here with Stuglife. He's been a longtime fixture on the Discord server, longtime listener, longtime Patreon member, and he's going to sit down with us today. We're going to talk about WoW, his WoW story, and just whatever comes our way. So welcome to the podcast, Stuglife.
Thank you for having me, man. I've been listening for a while. I enjoy it, and I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, it's glad we've talked about doing this for a while, and so I'm glad that we're finally getting the opportunity to sit down and do this. Let's start with, why don't you tell us your WoW origin story? How did you get started in WoW? When did you start playing? What was your first character? What got you hooked?
Okay, so we'll have to start just a bit before WoW, and when I say a bit, I mean about 10 years before WoW, because it was really RTSs. My first RTS was Age of Empires, which is not particularly relevant, but I got hooked on the genre. And I later played Warcraft 2, loved it, fell completely in love with the lore, all the art in the books, all that stuff, and went back and bought, and I still have both the physical copies and the full boxes of Warcraft 1 and 2.
Nice.
And went and bought Warcraft 1, played all the way through that, same deal, fell huge in love with all the art and story. And then Warcraft 3 came out, and I doubt I'm the only one that had this opinion, and I still think it's somewhat correct, but I'm not mad about it like I was then. Or not, I wasn't really mad. I was just like what is this? Because I was probably 14 or 15 when Warcraft 3 came out, and I was like, why does it look like a cartoon? This is little kid games now. What's going on? Like, where's the guy holding up the severed head? And my same opinion was basically with WoW. But then I actually played WoW. I got WoW in early 2005. I was 16 at the time, and
that's a good time to start playing a MMO, right? When you're 16.
Oh yeah, just completely fry my brain entirely. Yeah, just cooked the thing. But my first character that I played on my account, because I played WoW at my friend's house down the road, family friend's house, on their dad's computer, because he played WoW. And part of why I wanted to play WoW was I actually started with Ultima Online. That was my first MMO.
Oh yeah.
But that's a completely different type of game.
Yes.
But anyways, my first character on my account was an undead warrior, and it's still my main.
Nice. The actual same character.
The exact same character. He has been through 3 servers now.
That's fantastic.
So, yeah. I've been playing him since 05. We went through Blackwing Lair. We didn't do AQ40 really, or Nax. We did go in and farm trash for epics, because we had the gear for that. And the crazy thing is that was probably harder than fighting some of the bosses. Yeah. But nobody knew anything back then. Everyone was trash at the game. Even the good players were trash compared to what they are now. But it was a completely different time. Like nothing was in this solved state like it is now. So. But yeah, my first server was Earthen Ring. I don't remember my guild anymore. I spent like 3 days looking for it to see if I could find like a guild list from Vanilla Earthen Ring, which is a RP server.
Right.
And it was not a RP PvP server, but there was a lot of world PvP that did happen. It was just all voluntary.
Right.
So
yeah,
I had a rival in everything. It was great. 10 out of 10 time for a 17-year-old. Having an online rival that you never, like, I'd go to Elwyn, butcher everybody in Goldshire. And he would pop up and we would chase each other through Elwyn for hours and stuff, and then hop on, I would hop onto my Alliance character, and he'd hop onto his Horde character, and we'd talk trash to one another and be like, all right, see you next week, man.
That's awesome. That's what it's all about. That's good stuff. So, so you started back in original vanilla. Where did you go from there? You said you started in the beginning of vanilla, or was it?
It wasn't quite the beginning. I think it was right before Battlegrounds came out.
Okay.
I think. Because I'm pretty sure that I was in the Barrens when that patch hit, which sounds like a really bizarre thing to remember this well, but I was in, like, the Barrens when that patch hit. And, went and I probably gained 3 levels just from doing nothing but Warsong Gulch over and over and over. And that's actually how I leveled for most of 30 to 40, was turning in the badges from Warsong Gulch wins for experience, because I kind of ran out of quests.
Right. Yep. Yeah, there was definitely some holes in the leveling experience back then, so.
Yeah, but it helped too in a weird way, like.
Yeah.
It made you interface with every part of the game.
That's true. And that's actually because as we're talking, I'm flying around farming on retail, and I was thinking about classic and how it's just such a very different experience. Do you play classic? Do you do retail and classic both, or do you lean one way or another?
So, because of the nature of classic, I play retail, but I don't play it the way I used to play classic or the Burning Crusade at all, because those are my 2 main. Expansions isn't the right word because I'm including vanilla in that, but you know what I mean. With the seasonal aspect of it, it feels like all the progress goes away. Mm-hmm. So I've got a character on the anniversary servers that's it's an undead warrior that's level 36 right now.
Okay.
And I just haven't had the motivation to go in and finish him up.
Got it.
Because I'm in that weird leveling lull. Like, I understand that, more like almost half of the game is from 45 to 60. But as far as the leveling journey goes, but it feels like I'm just stuck right now on him, and I just haven't gone through. And I've got pretty close to Biss on him for a lot of stuff, just because I've been lucky. I mean, I know how to tank pretty well. I've everybody that I've grouped with has been like, nah, man, we got to invite him in more for tanking, and it's just like I can't get myself into it hard enough to stay on it. But I don't play retail hardcore anymore, so I just I mostly spend my time farming.
Right. I was actually going to ask this. So, if you could have one word that would choose your category as a WoW player, would it be like raider, mythic pluser, PvPer, farmer, collector? What would you pick?
I'm gonna go with I guess I'll go with farmer. I do raid. Not so. This is going to probably sound funny. I raid for a different guild. I stay in my guild, but I raid for them as their main tank. My alt is in that guild, but I'm in the guild with all my OG vanilla guys that I've transferred servers with 3 times. But it's a completely social guild now, and it used to be the if not the, I know they got server first a fair few times, but they were getting like second and third for Horde side for quite a few expansions. Okay. But yeah, I'm in the guild with them, and we just hang out, and I've invited them to the raids, and they've showed up once or twice, but they're in Australia, and the guild that I raid with is not. So right. They'd be back at raiding in the morning.
Yeah, that'd be weird.
It's very strange to wake up at 4 a.m. to raid. I'll tell you that.
I understand. I definitely understand. Yeah, it's always been weird to me how the North America and Oceania, is that how you say it? All those servers are on the same. They're all on the same. Like I would feel like they would be better off being with all the Asian servers, but I guess the language barrier there would be an issue. So I don't know. It's always been weird though.
Back when, so the first Oceanic servers opened up in 2006, I think, right before TBC launched.
Okay. That sounds right.
And like maybe 6 months before TBC launched. Anyways, all of the players from Australia, New Zealand, and Hong Kong, because that's what Oceania really was at the time. I mean, you did have, you do have some Malaysian players and stuff like that, but at that point in time, they weren't part of the Oceania servers. They were part of the Asian servers with Korea. Because I think back then it was mostly just Korea. I think Japan has like 2 servers or something, and I don't think China had any then. I could be wrong.
I don't remember
I don't think they had any servers back then. I don't think they had servers until Wrath almost.
Yeah,
I can be wrong though. I promise I can be wrong. I'm very good at that. Anyways, yeah, like our journey didn't go straight to Oceanic though. Like we were on Earthen Ring, and Earthen Ring was a stupidly high pop server, but it wasn't a extremely competitive server as far as like world first kind of competition level stuff or anything like that. We were always behind a bunch of the other servers. Like I think our AQ gates opened up like 6 weeks after the first people's did.
Jeez. Okay.
And it's just because the server ran it felt different. Everybody was cool with it feeling slower though. Nobody was upset about it really. So it's not like it had a negative impact in the day-to-day of the server, But anyways, yeah, we switched from that to Farstriders when the Burning Crusade was launching because they were Blizzard was offering free transfers from Earthen Ring to Farstriders. So
Okay,
the
yeah.
three of us, and it was all three warriors, which makes it even more insane. But all three of us transferred together to Forest Riders, and then we went from there to about partway through when we were all about the end of Tier 4 in Burning Crusade. We all switched over to an Oceanic server, and I've been there ever since.
Got it. Okay. So let's talk about Burning Crusade, because I know you've said in the past that that's probably your favorite time playing WoW. Would you call that your favorite expansion?
Yeah, just flat out. I'm leveling 2 characters right now just for fun through Burning Crusade time walking, 1 Alliance and 1 Horde.
Nice.
But it's my favorite expansion.
Okay.
I can't. The biggest thing that I would even find to complain about with it is probably Mount Hyjal as a raid, and it's the worst thing about it is I love it conceptually.
Right.
Like it's perfect conceptually. It's perfectly on theme, but it sucked.
Yeah, the execution was terrible in that. That was I can't remember. I think that was the one that people considered to be the worst raid when I did the poll on Reddit. Everybody hated Mount Hyjal. So
well, I mean, you have to kill wave after wave, and then if you wipe on the boss, you have to kill wave after wave. The only good thing about it is we used to my guild, we would sell gear from there. So what we would do is we would invite people in, fight waves of trash, wipe intentionally, and then eat up as much of the epics as we could, and do that over and over until we got gear for people, and then we would sell it to them. That was in the raid.
Okay, that's not a bad way to make some money.
I mean, none of the epics were stupendously insane, but they were tier 6 epics. So,
right. And that was still a time when it was difficult to get into raids, because there was no raid finder. There was just the raid. So yeah.
And I mean, this was after they had got rid of the attunements. But I mean, I know people have a bone to pick with the attunements because they're not account wide. But
right.
I think attunements were pretty darn cool overall, because you were on a constant progressing journey. You were seeing at all, like every time you finished one of those dungeons in that huge quest chain, there was another place to go and do something else, and you always had a goal to work towards, which was awesome to do.
Yeah, it definitely the game was a lot more group focused back then, where it required you to be part of a guild or even a group of friends is fine, but yeah, it's nowadays you can play by yourself and live a happy life, but back then you pretty much couldn't do a whole lot unless you were in a group.
Yeah, it was different times.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, both of my warrior buddies switched off of warrior after Burning Crusade came out. One of them switched to a orc shaman, and the other one switched to a blood elf paladin.
It's not a bad group though. Warrior, paladin, and shaman.
Well, and then we picked up 2 friends after we had switched to Forest Riders, and that was a holy priest and because it was a ret paladin, an enhancement shaman, a fury warrior, a holy priest, and a destruction warlock, and we just blasted everything all the time together.
It's not bad at all. Okay. And this was a question I was going to ask you earlier, and I got distracted, but is there a WoW moment that really stuck with you over the years that you like to look back on and be like, there was that one time that...
Yeah, it would probably be when we killed Ragnaros the first time.
Oh yeah. Okay.
At which I'm definitely showing my age with that one. I don't like it's, but that was that that required a lot of work right there. And we were not a super high-end guild. Like I said earlier, we got through Blackwing Lair.
Yeah.
But back then, getting through Blackwing Lair was a big deal. So, I mean, take it how you want it to be. But, yeah, I mean, the first time we cleared Ragnaros is definitely up there. The first time we killed Onyxia is up there.
That's good stuff.
Going through the dark portal, honestly, absolutely insane moment in from vanilla. I've still got all my trinkets and stuff from like when Nax was coming out. For like the Argent Dawn trinkets. I found those in my bank the other day and I busted them out, and they're pretty wild, man. Like one of them drops a banner that drops consecration.
Oh, wow.
But like all those old vanilla opening events for patches, those were extremely memorable. And I guess not a fantastic memorable way was probably Warlords of Draenor when that came out, because everyone was super hype. All of us were very excited when that one was coming out.
Yeah.
And we were like, okay, we all loved the Burning Crusade. That's what we all played the most of. That's, you know, and that's not what we didn't get that. So we thought it was going to be a return to something closer to Burning Crusade.
Yeah, it was a bit of a disappointment. I'll say. I mean, there's good aspects to it for sure, but by and large,
our expectations were at a different place than they probably should have been. Is really what the problem was, more than anything else. The expansion was okay. It could have been good, at least, you know.
Right. Well, there's the long-standing story behind that is that Blizzard actually stopped development on Warlords of Draenor because they realized it wasn't going well and put all that development into Legion, which is why Legion was such a good expansion. But they've never actually confirmed that, so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I quit towards the end of Highmaul in WoD, and I came back at the end of Season 3 of Dragonflight just to give it a shot, so...
Okay.
That's 10 years of having no idea of what anything was.
Oh, that's so sad that you missed the Shadowlands. I feel bad for you.
Well, here's the funny thing. When I came back for Sod to give that a shot.
Right.
And went through Phase 1, most of Phase 2, and kind of hit the same wall that I've hit it with Classic now, about that mid-30s range. And it was just like, man, I don't feel like doing this right now. It's like, because the thing is because I had 2 level 60s in Burning Crusade, which is not the most anybody's ever had, but that still required effort back then, just because the leveling journey was so long.
Yep.
My mind is like, I've done this already.
Yeah, it's hard.
The long and hard way.
Yeah,
it's like, I've already done this. Why do I want to, it's like, well, I mean, I've got a Classic Era character that I go back to every once in a while. He's like level 28 or 29, and I'll play him for a couple hours and then just be like, all right, I'm done for the day. And then I'll go back to him like 6 weeks later.
For some people, the nostalgia only goes so far, and then you're like, wait a minute, this isn't fun. And I think that's one of the reasons why Classic and retail can coexist together, because some people just like the slower pace of Classic, and some people want the more flexibility and the better system integration of modern WoW. So,
see, I have the nostalgia for max level more than anything, like post level 40. It's just the getting to 40 right now has been a bit of a pain in the butt, and modern WoW is a lot less effort for way more payout, it feels like, which sounds really bad to put it that way, but it's just because of the way the reward structure is now. And I can't seem to get myself fully in the zone for Classic.
Yeah, I think if you're like you said, you're a farmer and that's something that you enjoy doing, And I think that Modern WoW definitely has a much better landscape for that type of thing. In
Especially
Classic,
right now compared to with all the bots in Classic right now.
Yeah, it's really tough to do. I've got my hunter in Classic, and he's doing fine. And I can solo a lot of stuff on him, but I just don't enjoy it. It's not fun. Not like it would be on Modern WoW, where you can go and do all this crazy stuff. So, I wanted to ask you about farming. So, what is it that kind of got you into that? Are you just like, you like the thrill of the hunts, or you're just counting your gold chips, or what got you into farming as kind of like a pastime?
So part of it's going for old chase items that I never was able to get. I've got most of them now, so that's a big part of it. I still need my Thunder Fury, and I still need my Sulphurous. But once I have those, I don't really have any chase items left other than doing the entirety of tier 3 on my warrior, which is a very long process and very expensive.
Oh yeah, to do like you have to
it's
attune
like
yourself to
4
the
or 5
old max.
Well, I've already done all of that. It's
Uh-huh.
it's 4 or 5 million gold roughly, I think, to finish out. You also have to do crafting orders with people and a bunch of others. It's a big pain in the butt.
Yeah, that's right.
But right now I'm at 2 of 8 because
wow.
Technically it's 2 of 9, but you can't get the 9th piece anymore. So because everybody forgets that with tier 3 they gave you a ring also.
Yep, they did. That's right. Yeah.
But
tier
yeah,
3
that's where I'm at.
Yeah, that's one of those things that I wish they would have just left it in the game, but they weren't thinking about that at the time. So
objectively, tier 3 warrior set is probably the best looking set in the game.
That's
so
objective.
Good. Not even my opinion. That's objective fact.
It's so good.
Everyone needs to know that.
I love it so much. Yeah,
well, it was the only way to look like a Death Knight too.
Yeah,
back in the day.
And the Nax set from Wrath of the Lich King, the warrior set that the redone one, is terrible. It looks so bad.
Yeah, it doesn't look anywhere near as good.
Yeah. So as far as farming goes, do you do just like gold farming, or are you just looking for chase items?
Both. I can. So there's a. So when I came back to WoW, I came back in Dragonflight at the tail end of Dragonflight, and I dinged level 70, and then 4,000 exclamation points appeared around me.
Yep.
I have no idea what to do with any of them, and I said, nah, I'm not dealing with this right now.
Yeah.
So what I did is the most ridiculous thing anybody's ever done in this game is I went and played through the entirety of the Shadowlands campaign voluntarily.
Oh my gosh.
Because I wanted to see how bad it actually was after hearing everybody say it was terrible.
Yeah.
And it was very mediocre is what it was.
Yeah.
I think the biggest issue, like that expansion was probably so bad because of how they handled it.
Right.
If they would have handled it better, it probably would have been considered mediocre and not the worst thing they've ever put out, and WoD would probably still be holding that spot.
Yeah, I would agree with that. The execution in Shadowlands was just off.
Yeah, I mean, granted, I'm an older school player with this stuff. Like I said earlier, I want to see the dude holding up the severed head, and the Fufu Bunny stuff with the Ardenweld. I was like, oh, this is not for me anymore, man.
Yeah, I hear
so,
you. I mean, I love Ardenweld.
I skipped it as fast as I got through there as quick as I could, and then I just spent all my time hanging out in Maldraxxus.
Yep. Yeah, Maldraxxus is good. It's a good zone.
But I'm after an achievement involving that, so every few weeks I go through all of the junk for that. And it's for the title Abominable, which is one of the worst grinds apparently in the game, which is why I'm just like, every time I feel like doing it, I go out there, I do all of the weekly quests all at once. It takes me a few hours, I get all of it done at once, and then I turn it all in, and then I forget about doing it for the next 6 weeks. And then I go out there and I do it again randomly. But it requires you to be like exalted with everybody involving Maldraxxus, and then have all of the stuff upgraded to maximum, and to complete about 400 other different things. And then you finally get the title Abominable, which is a cool title though, so that's why I'm after it.
But, I get that. But still, it's annoying.
That's also why I'm doing it like randomly when I feel in the mood to do it.
There you go.
But
that's good.
So anyways, like, that's part of why I started farming though, is like I saw what was going on with Dragonflight. I didn't feel like sitting and going and watching 1,000 different videos and spending 14 hours on Wowhead to figure out where to go after I hit level 70. Because I'm basically a new player at this point. Even though I know how to play, I'm basically a new player. Thank God most of the skills or abilities in the game stayed the same from the end of WoD until now, roughly. I mean, there's been a lot of changes, but the general rotation for Fury Warrior has not changed.
Yeah, it still
in
feels
the grand
similar.
scheme of things. Yeah, it was similar enough that I was able to pick it up. Pick it right back up. But that's why I started farming. Is I found a YouTuber who does farming stuff, telling you about, expensive transmog and things like that. And I mean, I've got right now about 4,500 auctions going.
Oh jeez, wow! Did you buy the Brutosaur?
I didn't. I didn't ever save up the money for it. I was going to get it with WoW tokens, but...
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because I bought... So I have 2 WoW accounts, so I bought 2. And I was like, that's a lot of money. But I convinced myself that it was worth it. I was like, no, this will be good. I'll do a lot of auctions. And I don't do auctions. I just said mail with it, but... Yeah.
See, For me, this is going to be funny, but to me, the Brutosaur and that Yak that has the transmog stuff on it.
Yep.
I view those as almost like people on that drive BMWs. And the reason I say that is, BMW drivers never use their turn signals.
Yep.
As soon as I walk up to one of those guys, they always hop off their mount.
Right. They're like, oh, somebody's coming. Better run away.
And I'm just poking fun. Like, they're not paying any attention to me, but
no, I know.
I mean, it's just funny. Every time I walk up to one of those guys and I'm messing with the auction house or selling stuff to their vendor that they have right there, they always hop off the mountain. It's like, oh crap, okay. But yeah, there's a lot of farming places in WoW that are empty 90% of the time because it's old world stuff and people don't want to go back and do it because it does take time. And then with the current bug involving world drops, everything's skyrocketing in price. So there's money to be had if you want to actually spend the time farming.
Yeah, it's good.
But I mean, we had to farm back in the day, so it's not like I've am bothered by it.
Is there a gold farm that you're like, man, this one was so good, and then Blizzard nerfed it?
There's one involving a spawn rate that I like, and it's in the Grand for Corium, because Corium is very hard to farm. It's one of the most expensive metal mats on the auction house.
Yeah, because it's just a drop on another ore, right?
Typically, but it can spawn its own nodes.
Okay.
And there are 3 caves in Negron. 2 of them are beside one another, and the other one is down the hill from it. And I don't know if they've nerfed it specifically, but I feel like I've not seen the Corium spawn in like weeks on like in that. Because each one of these caves is filled with ogres, and they've got 2 or 3 nodes in them each. And you go in, you kill. If you have to kill an ogre, you kill an ogre. But you farm your it's not corium with that one. What was it? Adamantine, I think.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, you farm that.
I know what you're talking about now. Yep.
Yeah. To get you farm those anyway, so that you can force it to respawn. And by the time you circle through all three, they should have respawned. But
yep.
I don't know if I've seen an actual corium node appear there in a while. There's a couple of dungeons that have corium nodes in them that are right at the front, or can have them.
Right.
So you run into it. If you don't see it, you run right back out, reset, run right back in, and you could do that. And if you server hop, you can get around the instance lock.
Mm-hmm.
So if you hop to a different character that's on another server, that character is not locked out of the instance the same way.
Huh.
So you could do that 10 times and swap back to the other server, and it'll have reset that one.
Interesting. I didn't know that you could do that. That's cool.
Yeah. There's leather is a good farm. There's a place in Wintergrasp that's it's got these bears in it, and it's north of the Goblin place, and like just north of the Goblin place, I'm pretty sure. And they drop a specific type of leather, and it sells for good money all the time too. And but yeah, I mean, other than the world drop issue that's currently going on, yeah, I mean, all that does is drive the prices up because there's less supply.
Right.
The demand hasn't changed, the supply has. Like right now, motes of fire are like 130 gold a pop right now on my server.
Wow.
And they were 6 months ago they were like 30 gold a pop. And it's because of the world drop issue. But yeah, I mean, a speed set helps a lot with gold farming, and you know, I didn't want to spend all of my time when I popped back into Dragonflight figuring out how to play the game again. So I spent all of my time figuring out how to get a speed set and to farm instead.
Right. Yeah. Well, and you know, that's the type of thing that'll come in handy when, like, we just had the collector's bounty event. So
oh yeah, I was running around on my warrior at like his base speed right now with my speed set on is like and at like 32% faster.
Wow.
Which doesn't sound like a stupid amount compared to it being in cat form as a druid. But if I'm running through killing stuff, there's a specific type of food you can get, then there's procs that you can make happen, and I can get them up to about 55 or 60%, which is still a lot less than the 210 that you can get on a druid, but
right. Wow. It's good stuff. All right, let's move on, unless you have anything else you want to add about farming.
If like I said, if people want to get into farming, there is a lot of gold in Old Nax. The problem is getting into Old Nax, so you have to get that done.
Right.
But if you can make the old like if you get the ancient plans and do those patterns, you can make good money just from actually making the stuff. The patterns don't really sell, but the items do, and it's because people can flood the market with the patterns, but nobody wants to spend the resources to make the item itself.
Right. Yeah.
So, because they require like 120 war-torn scrap and then like 60 dark runes and essence of undeath, and it's like you're looking at 20,000 gold there alone already.
Jeez.
So the moment you make something like that, you can sell it for 150,000 gold easy, and it'll go relatively quickly if you put it on the right server.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. People are always gunning for that stuff.
But that's where I'll leave the farming thing at.
All right. Let's talk about what are your thoughts on, let's just kind of give a general statement and then we can drill in. What are your thoughts on the current state of the WoW community? WoW players, how do you feel about the WoW community right now?
It's nowhere near as cohesive as it used to be, which probably sounds like a weird way to put that. Mm-hmm. But back in the day, and I'm trying not to do the back in my day argument, but but seriously, back in the day, and I'm sure you're aware of this too if you played vanilla and BC and even Wrath, Everyone did battlegrounds every once in a while.
Right.
Everyone did world content every once in a while. Everyone ran heroic dungeons. Most people tried to run raids when, if they had the groups for it, and even then, there were still people pugging back then.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not with the game has been extremely compartmentalized, and everyone is focused so much on efficiency that nobody wants to take the time to learn to actually learn the stuff. They want it to be taught to them. They don't want to learn it.
Like the one button rotation.
Well, that's part of it. I'm taught I'll use rating in Mythic Plus as an example. You are expected, is part of why I don't do Mythic Plus, is because I took 10 years off of the game, basically. And I came back, and there's this Mythic Plus thing, and you basically need to have encyclopedic knowledge of every single dungeon now that came after Cataclysm.
Right.
And now, are they going to change those dungeons? Of course. Yep. But you need to go into the dungeon with that knowledge. There's no learning anymore, and the part of the issue with that is that normal and heroic are so easy compared to mythic, even zeros, that you actually don't learn it in that format, in my opinion. Because I've done normal, obviously, for dungeons. I've even tried the follower dungeons.
Yep.
There's actually a couple good gold farms involving follower dungeons.
Okay.
I can tell you about one of those later if you want to. You probably like it. But normal and heroic are basically the exact same thing, and follower dungeon is falling asleep at the keyboard while you're drunk doing a normal dungeon, basically level of easy. And then Mythic Zero is where what would have been a normal dungeon, and I'm not talking about mechanical complexity, I'm talking about the health levels specifically, because it feels like everything is a sponge now for health. And but that's where the health would have been comparatively for a heroic dungeon back in the day, and then you pile as much mechanical complexity as you can humanly contemplate on top of that, and it's I'm good, man. I don't need to sit here and dance around the ground for non-stop movement, and it's I get that I'm one of the older players now, but that's not fun for me either, is the just needing 400 add-ons. Dude, I'll still use the daggone dragons on my action bar because I'm nah, man, we're playing WoW, we're going old school.
Right.
So
yeah, I think WoW is definitely a focus-driven game. If you focus on Mythic Plus and you wrap yourself up in that world, then it makes more sense. But if you're not and you try and dip a toe in, it's not going to work. You're just going to get frustrated.
Yeah, well, the worst thing is that I could do that if I wanted to, but I don't want to. Yeah. There's no real incentive for me to do Mythic Plus. Me and my buddies from back in the day, we'll all hop on together and run delves and just hang out and shoot the shit on Discord.
You just want the social aspect.
Yeah, that's what we're doing, and that's what we used to do with part of it is the timer. The moment you add a timer in, it changes everything, in my opinion. If I don't care how you could give me a Mythic Plus 47, which is ridiculous on its face, but if there's no timer, then me and my buddies we will get through it eventually.
Right. So
we'll make it happen, but I don't want to have to pull 25 packs and deal with 17 casters all doing 4 different things to make these things happen.
So what do you?
I don't find that fun.
The whole idea of doing a queuable Mythic Plus experience. So you random dungeon fighter Mythic Plus, but there's no timer. And that's something that's been tossed around by a couple of different content creators. What are your thoughts on something like that?
I don't know if I have a good thought on that, just because I've not really thought about it. I think I think what Anniversary has is probably the best system for group finder that I'm willing to go for personally.
Okay.
I don't like the queuable thing. I get it, and I do queue for heroic dungeons and normal dungeons sometimes, sure. And I'll do LFR on my alts.
Yeah.
But the way the group finder is in Anniversary, it's a tool to help you do that instead of bringing your ticket to the concession stand, basically, you know, and right. Getting told what place you're in for getting into the next one. It acts as a lubricant for social interaction rather than just you got dumped into the car with 4 other people and now you're going up the chain on the roller coaster, you know. So I don't think it would be a bad thing for modern WoW. I don't think it would solve the problem though, if that makes sense.
Right. No, I get it. It's a curiosity thing for me.
And it may not even be a problem for most of the players, because I'm an outlier with this. I took 10 years off. The game's completely different. It's like waking up from a coma almost.
Right.
But it's so different. The community acts completely different, and it might work great for them, but it's not going to change anything or make me want to do it more.
Right. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I'm really fascinated by this idea of everybody plays WoW in a different way. And WoW is a game that can facilitate so many different play styles. And so I'm always really curious to kind of get from different people like, well, here's how I play WoW, and here's my focus when I'm playing WoW. Because if you watch YouTube, it seems like, oh, well, every single WoW player in existence does Mythic Plus all the time, right? That's because that's the majority of the content out there, but that's not the case. So
yeah, if I would have been playing during Legion when that came out, I'd probably be perfectly fine with Mythic Plus.
Right.
But there's no room for error, though, especially the moment the timer comes in.
Yeah.
I am a passable tank, but I don't know any of the dungeons.
Right.
I can hold aggro on something forever. I can hold aggro on everything forever, basically. But I don't know the layouts, I don't know the pathing, and I play a tank on my main right now. I do have a Fury off spec that I use for farming, but anyways, what's the one that they released with Undermine? What's the name of that dungeon? Do you remember?
Operation Floodgate.
Okay, I went to go do that a +4 or 5, and this was with the guys from the guild that I'm in, or that my alt is in, that I raid for.
Mm-hmm.
And I have done this place before this exactly 2 times. Once on normal and once on heroic, and both times were right when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
I had not done it since, and this was about 2 months ago. And so it's been 3.5 months probably since I had done it at all. Anyways, everything's going great, and then I ran into the water because I don't know what the heck's going on. I told them, like, hey man, you guys need to tell me where we need to go, because I don't know any of the paths. Well, nobody said anything to me.
Right.
So I'm seeing mobs in the water. I'm like, all right, we go in the water then.
Yeah.
And of course we wiped.
Yep.
And then everybody's like, dude, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I told you I don't know what I'm doing. And it's just like, if that would have been like I said earlier, because most of my experience in WoW was in vanilla and TBC. I've got almost 300 days played on my warrior. 200 of them are in BC or were from that time period.
Mm-hmm.
And if it would have been a heroic dungeon, we would have just made that screw up and been like, oh, okay, we don't do that now.
Yep.
But that destroyed the timer entirely, basically, and that was the end of it.
Yeah, and then nobody wants to continue on.
Yeah, and it's just like that's a big difference between then and now. Is the wall was there back then, and you could run into it as many times as you wanted to. But now the wall comes to you instead, and you can run into it one time. Like, there's no wiggle room anymore. There's no there's a lot less room for error, and 95% of things are one shots, and I freaking hate one shots.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
I think one shots are bad game design. I don't care if that's unpopular. Like, I mean, it makes sense for some things, but it should be a one shot for one person, and you have to really screw up, basically.
Well, one of the things that the people are advocating for right now is, instead of one shotting people, because that doesn't really make sense from a gameplay standpoint, is if you get hit with whatever the mechanic is, instead of being one shot, you lose 100% of your damage. So basically you're out damage for 8 seconds or something. And so that's a better way to learn, less friction way to learn the mechanic, rather than, all right, I died, and so now we've wiped and the dungeon's basically shot.
Yeah, the way I think, and I'm not a game designer at all, but the way I would probably handle it myself is I'd probably do something where it, instead of it being an instantaneous one shot, or being where you're taking this little constant damage all the time, so you're like, let's say you're sitting at 80% health, well, the thing just did 90%, so it's effectively a one shot. The way I would do it instead is, okay, this thing hits. Yeah, and it's not everything would work this way, because it can't, because it's ridiculous, but it does, let's say, 50% of your total health, and then it ticks 10% every 3 seconds until you're healed all the way back up, or something to make it more dynamic. Because it's just it's not. I don't find it fun to just, because I can't learn from a mistake if I'm laying dead on the ground.
Exactly.
Like, if like I said, I'm playing a tank. There are times when I need to know how hard something hits me, instead of like, because if I've got 4 other things going on, I may need to be able to stand in one of them. But if 3 of them are one shots and one of them isn't, then I'm going to avoid all of them as best I can. And now the boss is on the other side of the room, and nobody knows what the hell is going on anymore.
Right. Yep.
So, same thing with the soak mechanics and the things where it's like, oh no, you need to stand in this. It's like, I don't know the difference between these things.
In this.
I'm not standing in
Yeah.
I'm not standing in the swirly green circle because the other green circle tells me that I shouldn't stand. It's like, no, no, we're not standing in anything.
Right. Yep. Yeah, that's.
But that could be a problem with me more than anything else. But it's still.
No, I definitely think that I honestly I could do an entire episode on this topic. Like, what are the flaws with Mythic Plus, and how can we fix them? Because I personally feel like Mythic Plus is a fantastic game design system. It's just the implementation right now is not fun for me, for a player like me. So.
Well, I think a scaling timer would probably make a huge difference.
Yeah, maybe.
Like, have it to where the 30-minute timer starts at, say, 10s, and then it's plus 2 or 5 minutes or whatever, all the way down until you're at plus 2, and then you got an hour and a half, so you could spend all the damn day in there learning it if you want to, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
But, like, I mean, that's just how I look at it, though, is that it's not, that is not the game mode for me at the moment. I'd be willing to give it a shot. If they ever put Burning Crusade dungeons in it, I'll probably do Mythic Plus.
Yeah. I don't know how they would do that. They'd have to completely rework those dungeons, but... Well,
they did that for that Grim Batal one, so that's why I'm saying that.
Yep.
But, yeah, I mean, it's not a game mode that's really for me.
Yeah.
And it just is what it is.
Yep. Well, and especially now that they've added delves in, it's like, well, you don't need Mythic Plus if you can just go do delves for gear. So.
Well, and I don't even do delves just for gear. Like, I do delves because I kind of enjoy them. Like, I'm relaxing. It's beer and pretzels gameplay for the most part. Yep. You can absolutely obliterate yourself with a delve, though. Like, you
Sure.
can screw up.
Yeah.
Yeah. 90% of the time you're going to have to stand in something that's going to be a one shot basically, but you can definitely do that, or you could overpull or something like that. But the thing that I noticed with delves is they required me to use my entire toolkit solo, which I really enjoyed.
Yes.
Because it made me play different. Like, it's like, okay, well, if you're playing a warrior and you don't have Stormbolt, you have one interrupt.
Yep.
If you're playing a Fury Warrior, you have one interrupt. Well, you could still use Spell Reflect though. So I would interrupt the big thing, and I would Spell Reflect like a Shadow Bolt or something back to do a bunch of damage to something so that I could help cleave it faster. And just little stuff like that, it changes how you play, and it made me learn how to play in a slightly more modern way, and it was forgiving in the process.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't mind delves. I think that they definitely need to keep working on them. They're in a good spot for where they're at, but especially for a new feature. And I think they'll probably continue on. But call me crazy, I think that every single major patch period should have 2 new delves minimum.
Yeah.
Just to add more stuff. There's 1,000 locations in the old world. Start putting delves in the old world.
Yes,
like,
definitely.
Like that's the way to go. Like you could put a delve in the giant cave leading to Wailing Caverns. Boom.
Oh yeah,
like,
for sure.
That's a perfect place for something like that. You could do a side place beside, Blackrock Depths. Like, there's good delves are very versatile in that way, I think. And they just need to expand upon it and go for it. Like, I understand that the people that do Mythic Plus and all that stuff look down their nose at it.
Yeah, you've heard the whole mole people thing.
And view it as a hurdle that they must go through at the beginning of a new patch.
Yep.
But, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the way seasons are done anyway, so I don't really care what they have to say. That's their problem.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Like, the thing is sweats are going to be sweaty no matter what. Don't design content around sweats.
Exactly. No,
I'm
with
like
you
all
on
the
that.
time gating stuff. Like get rid of the time gating. The sweats are gonna rush through it as fast as they can, no matter what you do. They will find a way to get an extra renown rank or whatever the heck it is out of something if they can find a way, even if it requires them to goose it somehow. They'll do it.
Oh yeah, and they'll always complain that they're out of content too.
Exactly. So ignore them and just because I'm not a big fan of the way they do time gating now. Things were time gated back in the day, but you could still just sit there if you wanted to farm for the beads and the grand for rep all day. Sure, that there was daily quests, right? Mm-hmm. And that's your max that you could get in a day for rep in a day period from that zone. But you can sit there and farm those beads all day long and go turn them in over and over and over for more and more rep. Just let people do stuff like that.
Yeah,
they're gonna do it anyways if they can. Like, if they want to do the content, just let them do it. That's like a soft time lock though. Or time gate. It's not the same thing. Like, it's an artificial one. Like, is this the most efficient way to do it? No. The most efficient way to do it would probably be to go and do the stuff do your dailies every day, blah blah blah. But you could sit there and farm it out if you really, really wanted to. And it adds another thing for someone to do. If they want to go through and farm the absolute mess out of it, let them do it, man.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. All right. Let's I've got a list of questions that I wrote out, and it's like I'm crossing stuff off as we cover it in in just conversation. So I'm trying to keep track of where I am. I'm curious about just because we're getting into the 100th episode of Azeroth United, and it's been quite a journey. You've been around since pretty early on. How did you find the podcast? Was that something that you just happened to pick it up one day, or were you looking for podcasts? Or
so this was about a year ago, maybe a bit more. I went and re-downloaded the like Warcraft 2 because I wanted to play Warcraft 2 and Warcraft 3 again.
Yep.
I was feeling very nostalgic for those games, and decided to go find them and install them and play them. And I was like, man, like, is World of Warcraft even still going? Like, I've not heard about that game in a while. Like, granted, I wasn't in any circles really that did anything with it. So I started looking stuff up, and it's like, oh wow, they did what? They released a classic version? Like, I saw all that stuff, and then I found you while I was at work, I think, like looking for something to listen to while I was putting stuff away on shelves or something like that in the warehouse. And I've been listening ever since.
Cool.
I've got 2 WoW podcasts and 3, I guess, that I listen to regularly. And the other 2, they're more aimed at the very modern audience. Right. Yours is a bit different in that it's like I'm gonna say the old head one. Right. Like, and I don't not mean that in a bad way. It's just that you're like, nah, man. Like, I'm still playing. We're here for fun.
Yep.
Yeah, we're relaxing. Like, these guys are like, oh yeah, you need to do these 493 things before the next patch comes out, or you're instantaneously behind, and now you suck.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, well, I mean, I follow them more for very specific things, like knowing, like, and you cover the exact same stuff, but they'll cover stuff in a different way. And the other 2 is like the Starting Zone and For Azeroth. Those are the only other two I listen to.
I love both of those shows. Those are both fantastic shows.
And then as far as YouTube goes, there's a guy that I listen to. He streams on Twitch called Samicus.
Okay,
I like his stuff I put that on in the background when I'm playing WoW and stuff, and sometimes. And then there's another fella who's a smaller content creator, and I follow him and hang out with him on his Discord. We did some farming runs during the Collector's Bounty together.
Nice, that's good. It's fun stuff. Yeah, I Starting Zone was one of my like OG podcasts I listened to back in the day. And then most of the other ones that I listened to when I first got into podcasts, they're all gone now. The different creators have stopped playing and stopped doing their podcasts or whatever. So, but yeah, Starting Zone's still going strong.
Yeah, it's probably the same guys too, I think, from the way they've said.
Well, it started with 2 different guys, but then they took it over in Legion, I believe. So since 2016, they've been doing it. So yeah. And
they've been playing for a while too, so I kind of fall in camp with them a fair bit too on some things, but they're also very much you need to do these 483 things or you're going to be behind, and it's like the moment I hear you need to do this, that, and the other, or I'm like, you know what, I'm not going to do any of that now.
Well, and they're decidedly much more high-end players than I am. I'm just not.
I know, but it's my general mentality is to be obstinate. And,
right. Okay, I see.
It's just how I am. So the moment I get told that I need to, it's like, I'll be fine.
Well, now I won't, because you told me to.
Yes. I will be that way sometimes.
That's fair.
But it's just and it's just like, dude, why does the hurdle need to be this high? It's a patch. It's not a new expansion. Yeah. But every patch is basically an expansion now too. So,
it is.
But that's a gripe that I have, and I don't have anyone to gripe to, and I'm not going to take up your time doing that.
No, gripe away. That's what we're here for, right? All gripes welcome.
All right. So let's get this going then. All right. So it's ridiculous that your gear is basically completely useless by the end of the second week of the new patch. That is ridiculous on its face.
Yep.
Back in my day, all of your gear was still useful in the last patch, in the last tier. That some of it was still useful that you got in the first tier for the expansion, and that stayed true all the way through at least Wrath with a few things. Some things were even good all the way through expansions, even past the one. Looking at Thunder Fury here, Thunder Fury was still a good tank weapon at the end of Burning Crusade.
Yeah, it was.
And even into Wrath, people were still like, well, yeah, like the trade, like now we're starting to hit the full parity point where it's like, it's not quite as good anymore, but you could still use Thunder Fury if you really wanted to. And it probably stayed that way until you got out of daggone Nax, if not further.
Yep.
But gear used to actually be worth something. And now they don't even let you carry any of it over. They just nerf it so that you can't. It's like, dude. Like, I hate that. I think that is ridiculous on its face. It's an expansion. We're supposed to be playing a cohesive expansion in theory. Now, I don't think anything. I'm not going to say anything about the more controversial stuff right now that's happened in this expansion, like the new thing with the Danath Trollbane. I'm not going to voice any of my stuff about that. I already said that I like the dudes holding severed heads parts. You probably understand where I sit on that kind of thing. His name is Trollbane. What are we doing here?
Yeah, right.
Anyways, it's just like that. I cannot stand having to chuck out everything that I got from it feels so temporal, as though none of it actually matters. And I mean, I'm gonna open up my bags right now because I've got my account open, and I pulled out all of my stuff that I had in void storage, and I'm looking at a dragon spine trophy. I know for a fact that I used that from Gruul's Lair all the way into Sunwell during that expansion.
Yep.
I know for a fact I did.
Yeah, you could.
And it was good all the way through that too. Mm-hmm. And
now they would have nerfed it, and it would have been 39 item levels below, or some nonsense. Yeah, no.
I don't like that as a game design way to do things. Like it took me a while to figure out the upgrade system and the new crafting system. I've got it figured out now, but it took me a while, especially to figure out the new upgrade system. And I think it's too complicated, man.
Well,
I think it's way too complicated.
It is, and I've actually talked about that on the show before. I feel like it's way too much.
Just do crests, or just do Valor Stones and make it just be flat crests, not 4 different types of crests.
Yeah.
And make it where it starts costing more and more and more until it's done.
Yep.
And then that's it. Like, have it, if you're going to do the upgrade system, do it that way. That way I've got a Warbound piece of gear in front of me that says Veteran 3 out of 8 that I've got to give to an alt probably. Mm-hmm. That shouldn't, just make it where it costs nothing but crests or nothing but Valor Stones, period. Right. But just increase the amount that it requires through the ceiling. And that way, you could, if you want to go farm the stuff forever, go farm the stuff forever. There's the way they've cordoned everything off to where it's like, no, you must be at least this good of a player to get this gear. And I'm not talking specifically about the mythic stuff. I'm talking about just the way they've done. Like, you have to have the Gilded Crest to upgrade stuff that's heroic at a certain point. Okay, well, if you're playing casually, there's only 2 ways to get Gilded Crests, and that's at the end of a delve, and that is by converting Runed Crests into Gilded Crests. So you're already at this insane disadvantage, and you can only get 30-something crests a week as somebody that's playing casually. If these hardcore players want to sit there and farm delves all day to get their gear or their crests, I say let them.
Mm-hmm.
But don't punish the players because listen, my gear's I'm never gonna have any mythic gear. The highest piece of gear that I have right now is, and it's still not maxed out, is the stupid new belt thing.
Yeah.
And that's 697, but I've got crafted pieces that I've made that are sitting at 681. So that's my highest gear, period, right now.
Mm-hmm.
And like, that's all crafted stuff. I've got one piece of gear in total that's 8 out of 8 heroic right now, and none of the other stuff would have ever made it because it requires too much work to make it happen.
Yeah.
Like,
no,
I'm
with you.
Just let the casual players have their fun. They're not going to mess with, like, it. The thing is that the Mythic Plus and Mythic Farmer and Mythic Raiders and even the higher end ahead of the curve / Mythic Plus, where they're doing 12s, 14s, and 16s or whatever, if they want to go through and farm delves all day to get their crest to upgrade their stuff, I say let them, man.
Yeah.
Like, it shouldn't be something that hurts the players that do that content already and makes it where it's like, oh, nope, sorry, you're only allowed to upgrade this many pieces of gear a week.
Yeah.
Because that's what it feels like. And it's because they would go through and just obliterate everything and then, you know, be like, oh, well, we had to. It's like, nobody made you. You chose to.
Yeah. Just
but
because you felt like you were going to miss out. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my gripe with stuff like that. And sure, maybe keep it that way for like the first, I don't know, 4 or 6 weeks. But after that, just open the floodgates and let people play.
You know,
that way they can't say that they were forced to.
Right.
They can, if they want to afterwards. Sure, you know, it's an easy source of crest. Go do it. Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, that's how I look at that side of things. I have zero plans on doing hardcore raiding anymore. I did Black Temple. I did Sunwell. Good.
Yeah.
Like I didn't play anywhere near as much in Wrath, but shoot, Wrath is part of why I took my first break. Honestly, I was wiped out.
Well, Wrath was the beginning of that seasonal. Where you basically, your gear was replaced so when Old War came out, you got rid of all your next gear, and then when Trial of the Crusader came out, you got rid of all your Old War gear, and it started that whole process. So
well, that actually wasn't the reason for me. I was burnt out, which is probably not surprising with 200 days played.
Yeah.
But like, I was completely burnt out, and then they started, like, I was one of those on the fence people with Nax.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was like, oh, cool, I didn't get to do this in vanilla, and simultaneously, like, wait a minute, why are they re-releasing this?
Yeah.
Like, it felt lazy to me personally back then.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But that's neither here nor there. And then they, right after that though, when they announced Cataclysm, because this Cataclysm got announced right before Old War, I think, came out, like right before.
Mm-hmm.
I might be wrong on that, but they announced Cataclysm, then they brought back Onyxia, and I'm like, okay, so they're just going to recycle everything from vanilla now.
I remember that.
So
that was the 5-year anniversary. They brought Onyxia back for that.
Yeah, and so they brought Onyxia back for that, and then they announced Cataclysm. And remember, I said earlier that I was a huge lore like nerd about all this stuff,
yep.
And I'm like, how? Deathwing died on Draenor when it blew up, and if he didn't, he would have had to have come through the dark portal. And you're telling me that nobody stationed there could have seen him flying through that?
He's kind of big.
And and then it's like, oh yeah, and then they just destroyed the old world, and I was like, you know what, guys? I told my guild, I was like, guys, I'm done.
Yeah.
So I missed out on all of Wrath basically because of that, and then all of Cata. A coworker was talking to me about WoW at the time, and I went back and played Mop actually, which is probably the funniest thing about this, because you'd think I'd be completely out at that point.
Right.
But I'd started talking with my old guildies, and I decided to try out Mop. I said, man, if I don't like it, I'm just gonna stop. And they were like, yeah, that's cool, man, don't worry about it. Went back, and I am still torn on Mop because it's some of the best raids and dungeons they've ever put in the game, and even world content. And I'm not the biggest fan of the theming, but the Mop was also extremely brutal and like with
Yeah.
Garrosh and everything. So
I was gonna say the story was kind of dark.
Yeah, but it's the when I say theming, I'm talking about like the set dressing theming, like
Sure,
with the
yeah.
panda. It's like I'm
Kung
still
Fu
very
Panda.
torn on this. Yes, I'm still very torn on this. It's like no, it had some of the best like raids and dungeons. It had honestly a great story in the grand scheme of things. It's like, but why did it have to be set in Panda Land?
I know.
It's even how I look at it now. It's like and I like Mop looking back at it, and then I played WoD and quit again. So
Yep, that's the thing. So I was thinking about this while you were talking. I used to do a segment on the show called the Weekly Rants where I would just pick something that I wanted to complain about, and I was like, man, you'd be like god tier at the Weekly Rant. You're just like, give me a topic, I'll rant on it.
you can do that forever, bud.
I love it.
I'll weave in 2 other topics with it, man.
That's right. Good times. All right. Well, I'm getting close to the end of my time. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about? Any topics that we haven't covered that you're like, hey, we didn't talk about?
We didn't mention Classic Plus, but we don't have to talk about it forever.
Okay.
So I still remember because I was on the forums a lot back then during Vanilla when BC was coming out.
Sure.
And before BC came out, there was a lot of talk about them bringing in hero talents back then.
Right. Yeah, I remember that.
And I think, and this is it does not need to be what we have for hero talents now, but something very similar to where instead of extending the talent tree itself, but adding like a separate one that is, and keep in mind this would be a huge amount of work because in my opinion the golden way to do this would be to do like 2 per spec and not have them cross with other specs. Like I said, my opinion. Right. Have it to where you could have like a frothing berserker for Fury Warrior and then a different type of Fury Warrior that runs different, that plays differently. Same thing with like you could have this would be extremely unique, but like and keep in mind, Ret Paladin was garbage in vanilla, but that's neither here nor there right now for this example. But you could make a ranged Ret Paladin, basically.
Sure.
Like, that would work for something like that. It would change things entirely. But doing something like that, adding an extra tree that has multiple choices, and let's say you get 10 or 15 talent points, but you're still at level 60, you do not level past level 60, maybe figure out a way to do something with like they've got different technologies that they've introduced over time, like the renown track system, or even with the talent point system things, the new talent trees, because I've heard other people refer to them that way. Mm-hmm. With the horrific visions, or the new belt thing, or how they keep adding these other trees to give you customization in theory for stuff, and then there's a guide telling you exactly how to do it perfectly. Do that. Make it where it's all a lot of supplementary stuff, and there may be 1 or 2 active abilities, but make it, instead of where it's 10 points, make it 15 points in total, but there's 25 points worth of choices. And make it to where, in theory, yes, there's probably one that does 0.01% more DPS or something stupid like that, but where it can complement different play styles even within that same niche, and that would change things a lot. And then obviously opening up the some of the zones that were that are on the map but aren't attached to anything.
Right. Oh yeah, definitely.
Just a bunch of stuff like that. I like that vanilla doesn't have a main story quest. Mm-hmm. Or a main quest line or anything like that. But each zone kind of has its own per hub. Each hub kind of has its own. And that's how it needs to stay. There doesn't need to be a main quest line running you through everything.
Right.
But yeah, just that kind of thing I think would be the way to go. Maybe an extra race per each side and make it to where it's complementary on the continents. So like Horde would get another one on Azeroth / Eastern Kingdoms, and Alliance would get another one on Kalimdor, kind of thing. Just that kind of stuff.
Right.
And I don't think going through the Dark Portal would be the way to go. Personally,
I agree.
I think having stuff go through the Dark Portal would be cool. Like having it come out at you. Now, a way they could do something with the Dark Portal would be to take inspiration, but nowhere near do the same thing they did in Sod with the Nightmare Incursion thing, or whatever the hell it was called.
Yeah.
Not the same thing with the constant daily grind thing, but have it where there's an expedition quest or whatever, and you have to go through the Dark Portal, and it's another zone or something.
Sure. Yeah.
Just things like that would change things a lot, but it would still feel in the spirit of vanilla. And that's the biggest thing, is it's got to stay with the spirit of vanilla.
I agree with that 100%. Like, at the end of the day, whatever Blizzard decides to do for it, I don't care, because the only thing that I really am concerned about is I want it to feel like vanilla. I want that vibe. As long as I get that vibe, the vanilla vibe, then I'm good. I just don't turn it into... I think Season of Discovery started out really well, but it quickly changed into something else.
It's like retail light almost.
Yeah, I didn't like that, so I gave up on Season of Discovery. So
I did too. A lot of people did, and a big part of it was too complicated. It became too complicated, and it was being played like retail, not like vanilla. Yeah. So, that's going to be the hardest thing for them to wrestle with, is the fact that people are going to want to play it like retail instead of vanilla, and they're going to want to optimize the fun out, and they're going to have to figure out that's going to be their biggest hurdle if they want it to actually feel like a natural continuation of vanilla, is to find a way to make it to where people, if they really want to, they're going to find a way to optimize the fun out, but make it to where it's, I don't want to say more challenging for them to do so, but where it's doesn't feel necessary.
Right.
Like, yeah, that's my 2 cents on it. Make it to where it's like, okay, this is new stuff. We need to learn it, and it doesn't need to be on Wowhead instantaneous. Like that's going to be the biggest thing. Is the mindset of the players would probably have to change, but the spirit of vanilla would need to follow through with it. People will play blind. They'll do it. They'll do it for fun. They do it in retail. People do blind rating in retail. I do blind rating in retail. Everybody else will know what the heck's going on. I'll be like, y'all tell me what to do, man.
Right.
Yeah, I drive them crazy with that. It's like, dude, you're the main tank. It's like, yeah, that's cool. I'd like to learn the fights the hard way. Yeah. And I'm not going to make it where it's impossible for anybody else. Just tell me if you've looked it up. Just tell me what to do. I'll follow your directions.
Right. Yep.
But I want to go in not knowing how some of it works, because it's an MMO. It's part of it. The exploration and learning is a huge part of it, and having it where all the numbers are crunched already just kills it for me. I'm not a big fan of the parsing side of things. Like I don't care about any of that stuff.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
Your damage meter competition, and measuring contest should be done in your group chat and your guild chat, just so that you can rag on your buddies. It shouldn't be something that gets posted on the internet, and now you don't get invited to groups anymore because you sneezed and ran off the edge of a fight because you accidentally hit numlock somehow while you sneezed, or something stupid like that.
Yep.
Because I'm not wrong. Like
I know.
It's like nah, man. You did 17 DPS this fight. How? But I hit the boss once and I sneezed. I mashed a button on accident, fell right into the frontal, and instantaneously was obliterated.
It's
and
true.
Nobody rezzed me, and it's like, so now my parses look like crap. Everybody looks at that on Raider.io, and now I can't get invited to groups anymore. And it's like, this is not a. It's not a good way to, in my opinion, to run like what you would think of as a community.
No, I agree.
People are going to do all that stuff to themselves, but that's let them do it privately. There doesn't need to be tools for it. It should be your own personal group doing it. But that's a completely different rant from Classic Plus. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop so that we can end this for you.
Okay. It's quite the adventure that we went on there. I'm really glad we were able to take the time to just sit down and talk. You know, we've been talking on Discord for so long. I feel like in a lot of ways I know you, but you know, we've only talked a handful of times, like in actual voice chat. So it's nice to be able to spend the time with you. So thank you so much for joining, and really appreciate all the time that you've spent being a fan of the podcast. It really means a lot to me.
Well, I'm glad that I found it. It's been a fun show to listen to and to watch you grow over time. And if you do want somebody to do a rant of the week for you periodically, let me know, and I'll just sit here and record something and just scream about something I don't like in game or something like that for you for 20 minutes.
I'll definitely hit you up on that.
All right, bud.
All right. Next up, we have an interview with somebody who I really have gotten to know a lot in the last year. He's the host of the podcast Solo Queue, which is a podcast about playing solo in World of Warcraft. It's a really good podcast. He does a great job of putting together different ideas of how to play solo with telling some stories, and just really has a great vibe. He's a really good storyteller and a really entertaining podcast host. And if you haven't checked out Solo Queue, I definitely recommend it. I can't tell you enough how great this show is. So Dave Gagne is the host, and he's just an all-around great guy. So hopefully you enjoy this. He and I have talked about doing this sort of thing for a long time. And so when the idea of the 100th episode came around, and I said, well, this is when I'm going to nail him down and get it. But he reached out first, and he said, hey, if you want help with the 100th episode, I'll do an interview with you. So he beat me to the punch as always. So that's how it is. Anyway, enjoy the interview, and I'll catch you on the other side. Okay, everyone, we are here with our next guest, which is Dave Gagne. He's the host of the Solo Queue podcast, and he's somebody that I've been talking with on the internet for quite a while now. So please give a warm welcome to Dave Gagne. Dave, thank you. Welcome to the podcast.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Denethor. Super excited to finally face-to-face, kind of, as we are.
Right.
Yeah, thanks.
You're there somewhere.
I'm somewhere.
So, I've gone through so many different iterations of how I wanted to do this interview, because we talked about doing it for so long. And I, more than anything, I just want to kind of get an idea, like, what would be your WoW origin story? How did you start? What was your main? What got you hooked into World of Warcraft?
Yeah, it's interesting. I remember when when Warcraft sort of first hit my radar, it was not 2004 when kind of everybody else was getting into it. I was busy. I had a 3-year-old and whatever. I don't even know what I was doing then. But it wouldn't be until 2014, and it was actually kind of when Hearthstone came out. And a friend of mine who I work with, he was and had been playing Warcraft since the beginning, unbeknownst to me, even though I saw him almost every day. And it turns out he'd been playing for just about 10 years. He got into Hearthstone when the beta came out, when Hearthstone sort of launched. And that was sort of my first exposure to it, was through Hearthstone. And I remember, okay, all this stuff's based on a game. I should look into that game. And we talked about Warcraft, and I thought, yeah, I can't play that game. That is not going to be good for me. It's way too big. It's way too immersive. It's way too involved. I gotta not do that. And so I think for most of 2014, I was just playing Hearthstone, and I kind of trickled in at some point, just started playing a little bit, and I'd sub for a couple months, and then I'd stop, and then I remember for a while I was like, I don't want to keep paying like month to month. Like that's I don't want to do that. And then I made a deal with myself. I'm like, all right, I'm going to play fantasy football, and whatever I win, I'll put into my WoW subscription. And so the incentive was there to like win a lot of fantasy football, and eventually I had plenty of money for for the WoW subscription, and I ended up not playing fantasy football anymore and just paying for it.
Wow.
But yeah, it was a slow burn to get its hooks into me, and now literally it, for the most part, it's the only game I play. I don't. Every now and then I'll play something else, but really this is the only game I play. I have limited time anyway, so one game is plenty. And now that I make a podcast, that comes out of playing time, not really out of other time, or
Yep.
I
get it. I get it. I should be playing WoW right now. What am I doing?
Right.
That's funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an interesting transition because you kind of almost like snuck in under the radar, and then there you are. Now you're committed.
Yeah. 65 characters later. Actually, that's a lie. It's closer to, if you don't count classic, I probably have 80 something characters, and a bunch that I've retired. Like, I have a list of all my retired characters because I don't want them to go away.
Right.
I was thinking about this the other day, like all of the names that I have for characters, I probably have another 20 or so in classic, so well over 100 characters that I somehow have floating around either in my head or in my OneNote files or whatever. And those characters kind of become, I guess, my crew. That's my I'm not really solo because I have all those characters with me or have moved on and retired, so yeah, that's my crew.
All your buddies.
Yep.
That's cool. So, I was going to ask if you play anything other than WoW, but you do not.
Not much, no.
Do you have stuff that you do that's your IRL hobbies that you're like, some people play Warhammer or, do, I don't know, all sorts of things. Do you have stuff that you do IRL?
Yeah, I like writing, and actually a lot of my writing time got chewed up by the podcast. My blog that's out there is a little jealous of the podcast. They seem to be like fighting siblings. So I love history, which is nice because I'm also a history teacher in the money making grown up world. So
right.
hanging out with my wife, doing stuff. We got to get doing some boating, like canoeing and stuff, and a lot of projects around the house. We love to renovate, so I've got to later today work on some kitchen cabinets that we've been repurposing and tearing apart. So yeah,
your wife and my wife must know each other because I always get roped into some sort of adventure of what if we rebuilt this closet? What if we refinished the floor in the basement?
Yeah, the other day I painted a window that was really old and kind of spiffed it up, took it all apart, painted it up, and it's now got some new life. And then I'd left the brush out for a little while, so I was like, oh crap, brush is a little, solid. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna put it in the sink in our, like we have a little half bathroom or whatever, and so the sink is broken in that the little stopper doesn't work. But it's a half bathroom in the first floor. Like, no one's using the sink to shave or I don't know, whatever you use sinks for. So that's been like that for years. But I needed to soak my brush. So I was like, I'll just push the stopper down and pour some water in there and get that brush loosened up and so I can clean it. Which all that happened. That was great. And then I couldn't open the stopper. I couldn't pry it up. I couldn't suction cup it. My wife and I were trying to come up with ways to get this little stopper up. We're like, we need the sink to work because we're having people over and, my wife's parents and they're elderly and we don't want to make them go upstairs for the bathroom. So we need this bathroom functioning. We got to get the sink going. I took every piece of plumbing apart. I took everything about the entire sink. The bowl it's a pedestal sink and the bowl is gone. And literally that stopper was the last thing to ever come out of that whole bathroom. And so now it's off the wall. I've got we bought a new faucet. I've got to replumb that. We've got all like, where did projects come from? This problem didn't exist 3 days ago.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Right.
That sounds about right. Because you start one thing and then you end up 4 projects later. Like, how did I get here?
Yeah, yeah. And then my wife's like, why don't we ever get anything done? Why don't you get anything done? I'm like, I don't know. That's why.
Yeah.
The fates are against me.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I can definitely relate to that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so let's move on. Let's talk about your podcast. You've got this podcast that I know a lot of my listeners and your listeners probably have some overlap, but why don't you tell us about the Solo Queue podcast? How did you start that? How did it come about? Where did the idea come from?
I have always liked the idea of audio, and I think this started back in the mid 90s when I was in college and started listening to public radio a lot. And in the next few years I was doing a lot of driving between states, Maine and New Hampshire, and jobs and this and that. So it's just a lot of radio exposure, and I loved the idea of, I don't know, it's as simple as collecting audio and putting it together. And, I had some ideas for projects throughout the years that I thought I'd like to do. Never did anything. When I started playing WoW in 2015, pretty quickly I started listening to podcasts. And I think, the first podcast I really ever listened to was The Angry Chicken, the Hearthstone podcast that ran for so long, and it was fantastic. And from there I got exposed to the instance, and from there I got exposed to 18 other things. And for years, I've had a regular stable of 6, 7, 8, sometimes 10 different WoW podcasts that I'm listening to. And literally out of the blue, back in 2021, I think it was, I just literally thought of the name Solo Queue. It just came to me out of nowhere. I wasn't looking for a podcast. I wasn't looking for anything. I was just like, oh, Solo Queue, that's kind of a cool name. I need to make a podcast now because I have a name. That's the hard part, right? Is now I have the name. Yes, I'm off and running. And it would be some time before the actual show. I mean, it was in the back of my head for a long time. Mm-hmm. I think it was 2022 when I decided, I'm going to kind of go for this. I started planning and making plans and notes and all of these lists and things to do. And I think it was that summer that's when all of the Blizzard workplace horribleness and lawsuits and all of that came out. And I remember plain as day, it was my sister-in-law. I was talking about Warcraft, talking about whatever, and she mentioned something like, ooh, you might want to rethink that, or something. I'm like, what are you even talking about? I hadn't heard the news yet. And she was the one who told me. I was like, oh, God. And, the more that came out, the more I thought, not only am I not doing the podcast, but I don't even know, do I want to support this company? Do I want to keep playing this game? And, to their credit, I hope, there's been changes in management, there's been changes in personnel, hopefully changes in attitudes. And I think we've seen improvement. I have to go on faith with that. Certainly I'm hearing less complaints. So I guess, I hope people are being treated well, I guess is the point. And I slowly came back to playing and supporting the company in that way. Like, here's my, $15 a month or whatever. And it was the BlizzCon. It was the BlizzCon announcements of the War Within and of the follower dungeons and all of what's the other thing that was big? Not follower raids, because that hasn't come yet.
No, it has not.
Still hoping. The war bands, of course, the war bands and all of that stuff. And sitting on the couch, I was like watching, at the end of the day, just watching all the video on demand from BlizzCon. And I thought, oh wow, they're actually talking about things that would benefit me as a solo player.
Right. And
within a week, I had resurrected most of my plans. I had locked down all the social media accounts for Solo Queue WoW. I just jumped 2 feet back in. A couple weeks later, I put out the trailer episode, like the 3-minute little whatever. And then by December, after the BlizzCon announcement, I had my first episode out. Because I thought, this is the time. They're going to start catering, or at least offering something for solo players in this game, that's going to be really exciting to talk about.
Yeah. No, it's true, and it's interesting. You talk about the 2022 and kind of the big Blizzard scandal, and I think a lot of players went through that, the mental gymnastics of, do I want to continue to support this company? If I cancel my subscription, am I hurting the people who still work there rather than hurting management? And there's a whole series of, at least I know I did, and my wife did too. We both had that same thought process. So it's really interesting to. Because I asked myself that same question: do I want to stop playing WoW? And then, obviously I didn't. But yeah, so that's good. The kind of genesis, and it sounds like once you made the determination to go, you just full speed. So that's the way to do it, right? Just go all in.
Yeah, it really is. I guess I'm benefited by the fact that I tend to kind of jump down silos when I get excited about something, and it's kind of the only thing I either do or think about, and that's not always an effective thing in life if you have more than one thing to do in the world, but for getting a project off the ground, for creating something fresh, it's really beneficial. Because I just the plans are good, but ultimately you have to execute, and it's going to sound like it's going to sound. It's going to sound however you personally are. It's going to reflect, whatever, both the stuff that's in your head and your ability to actually say it, which is, some days are better than others. So you don't necessarily know what you're going to get, at least at the start. I think now I'm a year and a half, almost 2 years in, and I think I have a fairly good sense of what is going to come out, how I want it to sound, the work that I need to do to get it there. Because my podcast is a lot of editing. I'm pretty heavy on editing, partly because of all the sounds that I like to incorporate, both the music and the sound effects, but also I'm not always terribly good at just blasting out whatever it is I want to say. Reading from a list of notes is actually really hard for me. I don't translate well from bullet points to decent audio quality. If I script everything, then it's great, and I can script things, and that's where my writing, I like writing things, so that can come in, and sometimes part of the show is scripted and I'm trying to make it sound like it's not. But other times, it can be rough, and I tend to do a lot of editing, which I both like and hate at the same time.
Yep.
Right? I don't mind it until I'm like, oh dear God, can this episode ever end? And geez, I seem to keep making longer episodes. At some point I decided, okay, in 2025 I'm going to make 2 episodes per month. That way I can kind of cut things down a little bit and not try and keep cramming more and more into each episode. And that hasn't worked, because the last episode I put out was the longest one I've ever put out. Almost 3 hours. I'm like, are you kidding me right now? What are you doing? You know how long it takes to edit 2 hours and 44 minutes of audio, of my audio, especially when my throat is terrible and I'm coughing, and I edited out, I think it was roughly 15 minutes of me coughing and clearing my throat, because
oh my gosh, so many coughs
messed up my throat. Oh my God, it was so bad. The first half hour was fine, my voice was fine, and then it just descended, and by the middle I'm like, oh, who is this guy? Why is he so terrible? Fire him. Stop editing his podcast. He's horrible.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's really funny, because I've had the same problem, and I mean, I'm sure, as you know, if you're doing video as well, now you've got to cut and try and sync up your video so it doesn't look like these weird jumps. So anyway, I wanted to ask you about your topics, because that's one of the things that, I was thinking about your podcast and how you go and you tell these stories, whether through environment or ambiance, or with the music and the sound effects. You kind of create scenes that I at least for me, it's like listening to an old radio drama where I can picture what's going on. You're literally in the tavern, or you're watching the tournament for the 20th anniversary event. You know, all of the things that you're able to get in there and tell these stories. How do you decide what you want to talk about, and how do you decide to come up with these ideas?
Yeah, that's really nice to hear, because that really is kind of the vibe that I'm going for, is not interactive, that's not the right word. Layered, full audio, like you do feel a little bit immersed in a place, and I think that's sort of the public radio aspect, especially the This American Life show, which I remember listening, I think when it first started pretty early on, and they were always really great at telling a story, adding some interesting audio, always having another layer in the back of, a little bit of music, something that your brain can dig into. It's not just talking. And when I started the show, I think a lot of people put podcasts out with talking, and obviously you have to have things to say, and I think sometimes I can cover up my babbling with some of that immersive audio, and you might not realize, oh, that guy's just babbling for almost 3 hours. I think it's funny. One of the inspirations for that was a show called Azeroth Public Radio, which came out, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and only put out a hatful of episodes. I want to say like 4 or 5 before, I don't know what happened. They just kind of disappeared, and I loved that show. It was absolutely immersive. It really was like committed to the bit of the two hosts are hanging out at the tavern, or they're in a place, and I don't always necessarily commit to that bit in the show. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but we play a game that is filled with amazing music, first of all, and then is filled with great sound effects, and you can access those sound effects, and it's all right there. I thought, why wouldn't I make a show that utilizes those assets? And part of the reason most people play, I think, is this is a pretty immersive game. You get in there, and in some way, in some version of whatever it is for you, you feel like you're there. So why not make a show that reflects that? So topics, really, sometimes it's just things that are going on in the game, obviously, and then other times it's just what weird little aspects of how I play and how can I share that. And I assume in a game with multiple millions of people playing, somebody else is doing something that I'm doing. Like, so as weird and unique as I might think whatever it is somebody else is doing that as well. And so that's sort of, just playing solo, for instance, this is not a game that people play alone, except of course there's probably hundreds of thousands of people who, and I would argue everyone plays alone in aspects of the game. So it's not like this is such a foreign concept, but I think the topics that are a little off the beaten track, it's not just, hey, what's the raid this month? How do I beat this boss? I try to kind of get into some of the different things that no one else is really talking about, or few people are talking about. And, in my brain, I'm thinking about next big, I shouldn't say the next big topic. I don't know when it'll come out, but how I name my characters and my relationship with those 100 or so characters. And, because I think that's a fun aspect of it. And so why not, get away from, the next patch, and here's the new system, and here's the armor upgrades, just pausing and going in some kind of different, slower directions. I think I like doing that. I like hearing that. And I think that's where that comes from.
Okay. Yeah. It's definitely one of the things that I really like about your show is that you cover some of these topics that, you're not going to hear on The Starting Zone or For Azeroth or some of these other podcasts. So it's really, you've created a unique little carve out for yourself. It's nice. So
thanks. A lot of it's from the shower. I do my best thinking in the shower.
Sure.
So, yeah, there's been a lot of times where I'm like, all right, I need to remember this from here until I get to my phone 5 feet over there where it's dry and get the stuff down. Because, 10 minutes in the shower, you're like, oh, what a great idea. Oh, I could do this. I could do that. Yeah. If I could record in the shower, I think I would. It'd be a challenge. But
I've thought about it. I was like, how can I make this work?
Yep.
Do you do you ever feel like you are the pressure to stay on brand as the solo queue podcast, and you feel like, oh, I can't talk about this group content, like your last episode, that the whole thing about the Chrono Corsair, I thought was brilliant.
Yeah. It's funny, I think about that, and I think early on, kind of, I think when I started the show, it definitely was I don't want to say rebellious or contradictory, but this is an MMO. It is massively multiplayer. And yes, I play almost entirely alone. And it was a little bit of, I'm here, we're here, darn it, we exist. And I think over the year and a half, it has, I don't want to say it's changed, but I feel like it's a little bit more what you do when you're alone. Again, I like being more inclusive, saying, hey, everyone plays this game and everyone plays parts of it alone. So let's just talk about that. Especially now that Blizzard is seemingly throwing some features out that target solo players or make things easier for solo players. So I feel, I don't love this phrase, but I feel heard. I feel like we exist.
You are seen.
Yeah, I've been seen, and I think there's more they can do, but now I'm, not even remembering which question was. So there you go.
That's okay. I actually wanted to ask you also about your audience, because it's something that like you're talking about this solo play, and everybody plays solo at one point or another. Have you gotten feedback from people saying, oh my gosh, I feel seen, somebody's talking about the things I want to talk about, or is this are people just kind of, it's a curiosity, like, oh, I didn't know you could play this game by yourself, it's so weird?
Yeah, it's interesting, and I don't know how much feedback you get from people. I don't get a ton of feedback, and in a way that makes sense to me, because as a longtime consumer of podcasts, it's super rare. Even as many as I've listened to, it's super rare for me to reach out and comment, even with good things or questions. So on one level, I get it. It's very much a one-way medium, as we were kind of joking when we first got on. Like to interact with the voices in my head is strange. Like, no, they just show up in my earbuds. They're not actually out there for conversation back. So all that to say, it doesn't surprise me that I don't have a lot of feedback, and I absolutely cherish the feedback that I do get. The emails, the messages here and there, interactions with people like you. It's been fantastic, and it is informative. I think not as specifically informative as my brain would like. I would love somebody to be like, oh yes, this segment was really good, this one went on too long, this part is, well, why are you talking about that? I would love someone to sit down and do that. But it's, of course, not that. People don't do that. I guess that's why they invented focus groups, right?
Right.
So it has been, I take it all as, wow, someone took the time to shoot me a message or an email. A couple of them have been super long and detailed, like not detailed about the show, just detailed in general, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. And I take it all as, yeah, keep going. Yeah, keep doing. I remember I did have an email or a message or something that I reached out and I said, oh, what do people want to, what do you want to hear? Like, I want to make a show that people want.
Right.
I'm gonna make the show that I want, but I, I'd like to not make it for just me.
Right. You're not operating in a vacuum.
Listener. Yeah. So what do you want to hear? What would be interesting and therefore what might make the show grow, whatever. I don't know. And someone was super unhelpful and they're like, dude, I just like hearing your thoughts on things. And I was like, that's great. That's a nice compliment. That's not helpful.
Yeah, right.
But it is, again, it's that sign of, no,
Right.
I think, yeah, keep going. You're doing okay. And I think that's one of the hardest things about podcasting is, for the most part, it is a one-way thing. I think, not that I'm a streamer or have ever streamed, but you've got a chat full of people, hopefully, I guess maybe not, but you've got a chat full of people that are giving you feedback live. Right. And I mean, you go sit down and record, and a couple hours later of recording and editing, you put a thing into the world, and then you go about your day. The people are downloading it, I guess. Hopefully they like it and listen to more than 12 seconds. I don't know. Like, it's not a lot of feedback, so you kind of take it on faith. And those little notes of, hey, enjoyed the episode, or hey, that was cool, or hey, what about this topic? I take all of that as people are listening. People are, again, I love podcasts and I rarely ever reach out. So the fact that people did that, that's a good sign. I'll take it.
Yeah. I often say that because I have the Patreon set up and it's great, but it's more I stand by engagement is the highest form of currency in this game for me. I don't care about people are like, oh, could we do donations or whatever. I don't need donations. I don't need money. I want
Right.
the whole reason that I'm doing this is so that I can interact with people and have a fun and engaging show. So that's to me, the engagement and the feedback, as little of it as we get, those little nuggets, it's like, woo,
yeah. Yeah, I never went to the length of doing the Discord server or whatever. God, I hate Discord. Is that the one I mean? That's the one I mean, right? Like having people on and interacting. I've just used it for recording stuff.
Yep.
I remember when I got off the ground, a friend of mine at work had said something like, hey, so, are you building a community around your show? I'm like, no. It's called solo queue. I don't want to build a community. Which, it's sort of a funny line in my head of, I want people, I do want people engaged. Like, I'm not out for that interaction, that engagement as much. I kind of do just want to make a thing that I like and put it out there for people and hope they enjoy it. And I don't want to have to talk to a lot of people. At the same time, I do. Like, it's a funny thing. By nature, I'm not super social. I'm not super outgoing. Which might sound odd for being a teacher, but teachers are actually introverts as well.
Right.
So, like I said, I'm not some crazy shut-in who never leaves the house. So I want the solo thing, but then I also want to know that people are enjoying it. And so, do I need a community of solo queue players? Kind of, but we'd all just sit in a room and not talk to each other.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, we're all technically here, but
Yep. So and again, if targeting solo players, which I think, not that you should generalize, but I gotta think some people are kind of like me in that they play alone because they kind of like doing things alone. So of course they're not going to reach out to a podcaster. And again, so when they do, I'm super grateful. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Do you and this is something that I'm always really curious about. Do you listen to your own episodes after you put them out there? Do you go back, download it on Spotify, and listen to it as if, oh, who's this guy? Or are you like, I can't listen to my own voice, I don't want to hear it?
It's funny. When I do a thing at my job where as a teacher where the kids have to give speeches. Like all the seniors have to give a speech to the community. And I actually hate public speaking. And for some unknown reason in my brain, I decided when there was an opening, I was going to volunteer to help with that process. So I help the kids with their speeches, and that includes giving an introduction to the speech. So I have to stand up, give basically a little mini speech before the student gets up. And those are recorded, so, you know, I can send them to grandparents or something. And every time I hear those videos, I hate it. I hate my voice. I like what? Because it's my friend who does or at least used to do the recording, and so he would every now and then have the videos playing and blah blah blah. And I'm like, oh my god, seriously, I hate hearing my voice. And I really honestly was worried about that when I started the show. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna have to listen to my voice.
Yeah.
Like
it's
gonna be there. Yeah. And oddly enough, I didn't mind it. I don't know why. I have no idea why, because I still don't like hearing my voice in other places. But in the editing, as I'm doing the work, it's not even that I disassociate, like, oh, that's just some voice and I'm working on it. It does sound like me, but I am able to separate a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And oddly enough, I do listen. I know some podcasters don't listen to their shows. And I think, maybe if you're making a weekly show or something, yeah, you don't have time. But I do listen to my shows. Hopefully I'm not half of my downloads, but I have a few. I have a couple. And this is going to sound funny, maybe not. I kind of like the show.
Right. I'm in the same boat.
I laugh. Yeah, I laugh at my jokes, which I know it sounds dumb, but I do, or things that at least I still think are funny, things that I think work, things that don't. I want to hear things that. So I do kind of listen to it as if it's somebody else a little bit. I'm not as critical as I kind of like. I don't hear it fresh. But I do enjoy listening to it.
Right.
I'll put it in. I don't listen to the show as much as I listen to other shows, but yeah, it's in there.
Okay.
It's in my rotation.
All right. I can relate 100%. So we'll leave that there.
Nice.
What advice would you have for somebody who's thinking about starting a podcast right now in 2025?
Oh my goodness. I think it's great. I think if you're thinking about it, then you can do it. That's kind of, if you're thinking about it, then you clearly have an interest, and whatever hurdles you have, and we've all got whatever hurdles, strengths and weaknesses, you can overcome most of them. I don't want to say all of them, because some people who just cannot talk coherently might want to make a podcast, and that may or may not work.
Right.
I guess with enough editing, anything can work, but oh boy, as someone who edits a lot, careful. But otherwise, just do it. Like, just first plan the heck out of stuff. Like, don't just grab a microphone and start talking. I think that's the dumbest advice I think I've heard. You need to plan stuff out. You need to have an idea. You need to have some sort of plan going in, listen to other podcasts that you like and trying to emulate the things that work and what have you. But then at a point, you have to stop planning and you have to just push the record button and go to it, because you can plan forever. And this advice probably applies to everything, but as someone who wants to plan lots of things, I have mountains of plans for various things and projects and hobbies and angles and what have you that never see the light of day. And I don't know, it can be kind of fun just to plan things. That's its own weird hobby unto itself, maybe. But you can also paralyze yourself by, but I don't know what this minute's going to be, and I don't know what am I going to do. At some point, nope, you got to trust that you've done the work, and it's in there in your head, and you've got to push record, and you got to be ready for it to suck. Like, you got to be ready for it to not be that good, because anything any of us do the first time, it's not great. So work at it, be ready to get better, but just keep doing it. I don't know, that's the key. Just do it. Is that logo taken? Is that phrase taken? Just do it.
Yeah, I don't think that's taken. Yeah, you should copyright
Yeah,
that.
we should be good. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, I think that's great advice. I definitely agree. Just go for it, but don't go for it wildly. Be thoughtful in how you do it. But yeah, I think that's good advice. So.
Yeah, don't sink a lot of money into, like, I think that's a trap people fall into. Like, ooh, I'm going to buy a $600 microphone. I'm going to buy this. I'm going to have all the stuff that I see on, I don't know, Joe Rogan's show or whatever. Like,
Right.
You don't need that. Like, it's probably better if you don't just start talking into your iPhone. Maybe,
Right.
Drop a few bucks on some things, but boy, start low, because the ramp from like low end to, I guess, what any of us individually would consider high end, the quality increase is not as big as you might think.
It's not.
You can get away pretty cheap in this hobby, luckily, if this is your thing. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I still use a USB mic because I'm like,
Yep.
I'm not buying the whole, XLR setup. I don't know.
Yep.
Although my wife did try to get me to do it. She's like, "Oh, you should get a whole setup," and I was like, "No, I'm not Joe Rogan. I'm not. We're not.
Right.
We're not going down that road."
I mean, ultimately, if it sounds good, it's good. Like,
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, there's nothing wrong with, there's always I'm always looking at, ooh, what new equipment could I have? Oh, what could I, and it's sort of like, okay, but what's going to be better about the show?
Right.
Is it gonna honestly make this a better show? I don't know. And a lot of times I can talk myself off the ledge of buying something silly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Okay. All right. Let's move off from podcasting. Anybody who's not doing a podcast is probably like, okay, let's talk about WoW. So.
Oh yeah, that.
Let's talk about. Okay, so we'll start with solo playing because I know that's obviously your the theme of your show, even though that's not the only thing you do. So you talked about some of the content that Blizzard has put in the game for solo players, and I know the first thing that you're going to say right off the bat, but do you think that Blizzard could design more content with solo players in mind?
Yes, they could. Yes, they could. I would love to be the fly on the wall on The Office where they secretly explain why follower dungeons haven't been expanded to follower raids yet. I've not heard an answer. Not that I'm asking many people, but I don't know how to make a game. I teach history. I don't make video games. I have no idea. So that said, follower dungeons feels like a proof of concept, right? Like, hey, let's try it with 5 character slots, and hey, it works, and everyone agrees it works. Like, everyone agrees this feature has been fantastic. If you don't use it, it's because you don't need it, but everyone who uses it really likes it. Okay, go into the code, change the 5 to 20, call it good. I know it's not that easy. I get that it's not that easy. I get that there's probably mechanics that are convoluted. I don't know. I don't raid, so I assume these things, but I have no idea. But boy, it would be nice. Other than, hey, oh no, go do story mode, which I don't even know why they call it story mode. There's no story. It's you're just one boss.
Getting to watch the cinematic. That's it. It's like that's what YouTube is for.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Exactly. Don't come on, story mode. So I'm kind of hoping that in the announcement in Gamescom coming up that follower raids, come on, it can be there.
Let's do it. Hashtag follower raids.
That's right. I think other stuff, I think it's coming. I think delves have been a fantastic addition to solo players. And, it's funny to hear on other shows, people arguing about what delves should be, who they're for, why can you get such good gear? Well, this is...
Right.
Who cares? Like, it's not... my big thing I've mentioned a bunch of times on my show is, are these things coming at the expense of other players? And I think Blizzard's done a good job of adding features for solo players that are not taking away from anybody. No one's the raid didn't suffer or the dungeon pool didn't shrink because now we have delves or now we have follower dungeons. No one has to do those things. And so I think they've done a good job of just adding things to the game and not taking away. It's not a shift, it's just a growth of the game. I guess that's probably the way to think about it. So I think more things are coming. I think the Dastardly Duos was an attempt at that. I don't know that it worked. Right. I didn't find them super engaging. No. I don't think anyone did, maybe, from what I'm hearing. So, yeah. But I don't mind that they swing and miss when they keep swinging. Like that's
right.
That's
Take the swing.
So, yep. Yeah. What's the other one that now I can't remember. Not Dastardly Duos. The Horrific Visions.
Right.
For all the people kind of whining it's the same thing and not very different, I think that's okay. I mean, that was a light lift on their end, I think, to say, hey, here's another thing to do in the game. We're not pretending it's, anything amazing or new. Go do it. And I didn't do a lot of them the first time around. I haven't done a lot of them the second time around, but I'm hoping to. They keep putting more interesting things in front of me. So maybe next week I'll get to what's going on next week. Nothing, right? We're good.
Right. Yeah. It should be pretty quiet.
So I think they've done a good job at innovating and kind of offering up ways to play this alone, ways to make it easier to have multiple characters and share amongst yourself and not have to be pulled into group content if you don't want to. And I think, why not extend that to some of the other parts of the game? Again, I'm never going to make the argument that I need to have access to the Mythic Raid and Mythic Raid mount and I should have access to everything as a solo player. I don't think that's true, at least loot-wise. I would love all parts of the game to be open to me. That's kind of the biggest thing for me. I want to be able to engage in the systems. I don't necessarily need all of the best benefits from it because I'm not organizing 30 people to go do a thing together and all the coordination that goes into that. I get that. That's fun.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. One of the things that while you were talking, it made me think of was Comp Stomp, which is one of the PvP brawls, and you're battling against AI opponents. So they can have AI PvPers, which, okay, granted they're not very good, but still,
sure.
if you could do these things with AI characters, follower dungeons, Comp Stomp, the next step seems logical. I've actually been thinking about this particular aspect a lot, which is people who feel like they are entitled to the best gear in the game or trying to get to myth track gear or whatever, and it's like I don't need any of that stuff. I'm happy to get my gear as good as I can because honestly I'm just gonna go run another delve. Maybe I'll run a dungeon, maybe I'll do a Mythic Plus, probably not. So for me, I want my gear to be pretty good. I don't need it to be the best. So if Blizzard can continue putting out this solo content in a way that is interesting and engaging, and I don't even need to engage with everything. I did Dastardly Duels one time and I was like, we're done. So I treat it like all of the Star Wars TV shows that are coming out on Disney Plus. I don't need to watch every single one of them, and I'll watch The Mandalorian, I'll watch Andor, and I'm good. So so as far as the game goes, and when you do have to deal with the social aspect of WoW, how do you handle that? Do you kind of approach it with apprehension, or is it just a normal thing but you'd prefer to play solo?
Yeah, I ignore the group content as much as humanly possible. Like the until I went and did the time walking recently. I mean, the most thing I group up with is going to kill a world boss. Like, gotta find a group to kill a world boss, and we know there's absolutely zero social interaction in that sort of thing. Or I mean, the Nightfall scenario. I guess you didn't need to, whatever that was. You didn't need to group up for that, but that's the extent of my grouping up, is whatever world boss needs killing or whatever weird, the cinder bee thing. When you try and do that, that's a little bit easier if you hop into a group. But
Right.
again, those groups come and go. They don't mean anything. It's, essentially farming content that's just easier with a few people. So that's it. That's, for years, that's all I've done until the other day, or a few weeks ago, when I did start doing the time walking, and I thought, I don't even really know why it got in my head. It wasn't the mount. I mean, the mount's neat, but that's not why I did it. I just thought, well, I guess I'm going to try this. And I pushed the button. I mentioned it in the show the other day. It was the end of a weekend, and I'd had a few drinks, and I'm like, all right, you know what? I've got the courage that I've got right now, and I'm going to hop into time walking, and it went fine. Like, it went fine.
Yeah.
Part of it for me is certainly a social, like, whatever. I don't want to do this. I don't like getting to know people, I guess. That's part of the problem. Once I know people, great. And so if a bunch of people showed up at my house and we became friends, and then we made a raid group, sure, that would work.
Right.
That's fine. But I've heard in some of your episodes, you're on again, off again, into this guild, and then the excitement wanes, and then you quietly slip out the door, and then, like, all of that, I cringe. I'm like, oh my god, I would hate that. Yeah, whoa, what are you doing to yourself?
It's frustrating.
I don't. Yeah, it must be, and I don't want to. Like, I don't want to do that. I love that you're trying to find that right guild, and I don't want to try. If it happened, again, if all of a sudden, out of the woodwork, 10 people who I knew said they also play World of Warcraft and invited me somewhere, great, I would probably do it. The other part for me, aside from just the social thing, is I don't have the time flexibility. I shouldn't say that. I don't have the ability to kind of schedule, oh yeah, Tuesdays and Thursdays for 2 hours, we're doing it. Like, I don't have that schedule. My schedule fluctuates so much. So I can't commit to any group, and I don't want to be in a group that I'm going to let people down.
Right.
As much as I would want to be in the right group, once I found that group, if I ever did, I would then be like, oh yeah, I can't go tonight. Oh yeah, well, yeah, 2 weeks off from the game. Too busy. I would feel bad about that. So playing solo is kind of the best solution for all of those things, because ultimately I only let myself down if I can't do a thing, and that's, I let myself down all the time. It's fine.
Yeah, no, that's and I was telling someone the other day that that's one reason that I decided, because I tried to stream, I tried to get on Twitch and do streaming, and I just couldn't do it because I didn't have the ability to commit. Like, I'm gonna sit and do this for 4 hours now. I was like, I got other stuff to do. I've got to get up, walk away. So it just didn't work out. But yeah, I get that 100%. It's hard, and right now raiding in Classic, it's fine because the fights aren't that intense. So if I do need to say, hey guys, I've got to go AFK for a minute, it's not a big deal. Whereas in the War Within, if you're like, hey, I've got to step away for 5 minutes, it's like you're gonna miss so much, and you're gonna fail a mechanic, and it's gonna wipe the raid. And so yeah. All right, so moving off of solo play, what how do I want to say this? What do you feel about the game and how it's changed over the years? How do you feel about that? What are your thoughts on? Because you started playing in Warlords of Draenor, right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So how do you feel about how the game has changed over the years?
That's a really good question. I'm actually not even sure how to answer it, because I think in some ways I am a passive consumer of the game, in that I'm not here to be super critical. Like, I don't think anyone just sets out to be critical of the game, but I do think people have, problems. Oh, they changed this, they did this to my class, they whatever. On one level, I don't pay enough attention to numbers, to damage, to that sort of detail, to notice the ebb and flow. Some of the podcasts I listen to, they'll mention like, oh, class changes and tuning and this and that, and every now and then I'll hear, ooh, Feral Druid is up 8%, and I get mildly excited, but I also know that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything to me. It could be, they could say, ooh, it went up 8%, and in actuality it went down 10%. I'd have no idea. I just push buttons. So in one way, none of that matters to me, and I assume it's in the background, and they're improving and tweaking and balancing and whatever. So that's fine. On a different level, I guess for me the game is the stories, is the journey that they're taking us on every 2 years. This is our big topic, our big direction for 2 years, and all the patches, and is that good? And again, I'm along for the ride. I enjoy the ride. So I guess in that way, the game is good. In that I loved Legion. I started playing in Warlords, but I was never in the Warlords content at that point. That story got past me, but Legion, when Legion launched, I had max level characters, I was doing the things, I was on, and I loved it. I loved the depth, I loved the variety, I loved all the class order halls and all the different directions you could go. I don't know if that was the height of the game. In some ways, I try and look at it factually, not emotionally, and I think, boy, every class had an order hall. Every class had some good, some bad, whatever, but every class had a story being told, a series, a whole giant quest chain with unique rewards, and that's a lot of work. That's a lot of detail. That's a lot of options. I think they've never hit that level of storytelling since. 4 Covenants is okay, great. 3 Cartels down in Undermine, or those are all good. But boy, Legion was really strong in that way. That said, again, they could put out whatever they're going to put out, and for the most part, I'm going to enjoy it. Hearing some of the story beats from the old crew of people, some of whom are no longer with the company, like, hey, let's just burn down a tree and not really have a reason why, and
it was fine.
Someone else will figure it out. Like, so some of those are cringy, but I think I'm kind of able to go with the flow. Like, you're telling me a story, great. It's kind of like reading a book, in that if I like the book, I'm gonna read every page. I'm not gonna, I'm thinking fiction. Like, if I'm reading a novel, I'm gonna read every page. Not every page is great. Not every page is the tree burning down, thank goodness. But I'm gonna keep reading. And so I always get a little bit annoyed when I hear the people just absolutely ripping on so-and-so. The name I hear the most is Steve Denuser, or this one, or that one, or what's Ian doing, or this story. Just go for the ride. Like, be told a story. Every page doesn't have to be amazing. And ultimately, if I'm reading a novel and I think it sucks, I'm not going to finish it. I'll put it down. I won't just go onto social media and rip the author for, over and over and over, because I read 107 pages of your 400-page novel and I thought it sucked, so I'm going to tell you all the time. Like, stop. So same thing with video games. Don't play if you don't like it. Don't focus on the story if all you do is go in and raid every week. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
Do things that excite you. Don't do them if they don't. And I know
That's
people have invested 20 years in WoW, and yeah, you don't want it to all go to crap, but I would argue the story is pretty strong right now, and yeah, it's pretty interesting. So I don't know that it's being thrown away, or I don't know. Everyone can have their opinions, but I like I said, I think it comes back to me just taking in the story, going on the ride, not pretending I get to steer this ship at all, and trying to enjoy. So in that way, the game does keep kind of getting better. It keeps me interested. It keeps me thinking about it, and I like jumping in and immersing myself in it.
Okay. So on that same note, with the progression of the game, as it's going currently, what are your thoughts on the way that Blizzard has kind of divided out Classic and Retail? I mean, we're at Mists of Pandaria now for Classic, so we're one step away from Warlords of Draenor, which is where you started. Yes. How do you feel about that? How do you reconcile that?
Yeah, that is fascinating. I think. Well, let me go backwards. I remember when I first started hearing about private servers, and I was like, wait, there are people who put out illegally this game. Like, I didn't understand it from a... Like, I still don't understand the concept. And that Blizzard decided finally, like, let's do this ourselves, I thought was genius. And yes, put the game out, make it available. And I think Classic, as much as I don't really play much Classic, I do think it's great. Like, you have all of this content. You've got 20 years and 10 expansions and all of this, like, put it out there. I still cannot believe, and I don't want to say this out loud because I don't want Blizzard to hear this, but I still cannot believe we pay the same sub to get both. And not only just to get both, like, you know, 2019, we're like, oh, okay, I now got Retail and now I have Classic. No, there's like 8 flavors of Classic. There's hardcore, there's softcore, there's, you know,
yeah,
whatever. Like, all of those are so many options, so many different ways to play World of Warcraft, and you're still paying the same amount of money. At least in this country. I know some countries have some price changes and don't even get me started on tariffs, but
we're not going down that road.
No, we're not. It's fascinating that they're able to put all of this stuff out for that same sub, and I think that is, from a business point of view, is genius. If you said, hey, Classic players, we know you like to play janky old game, pay $10 and you can play. No one would do it, or few people would do it. But the fact that they managed to pull it off from a business side of things for the same subscription, I think is a gift to all players. Because if you want to do that, you can. And if you want to be that guy who's like, yeah, I bounce into Retail just to whatever level of character, and then I'm out back to farming soul shards and whatever for 18 hours, great. Do you. And like I said before, it's not taking anything away from anybody. Right. You know, putting out Season of Discovery and trying something new and doing some different direction. Sure, you could pout in the corner and say, but your favorite flavor of WoW is usually still available.
Right.
Just go play that one. Like, I don't know what anyone's complaining about.
Yep. All right. So let's put on our speculating hats, and I'm putting on a hat that doesn't exist. What comes next for WoW after the World So Saga? What do you think Blizzard is going to? There we go. Oh, look at you! Got your bling
anniversary hat that does not fit at all. At least not over headphones. Oh,
right.
Yeah, that's bad. I don't wear white clothing ever as a rule. And this is the whitest hat. This is officially the whitest thing I own, I think. And it is obnoxiously white.
That hat is so white. We're going to call it Sydney Sweeney.
Yeah. There you go.
So what do you think is coming up next for Blizzard for the on both sides? So you got the World So Saga, right? And then we've got Mob Classic. Mm-hmm. I know there was a whole thing that was a rumor that they were talking about transferring MOP characters to Retail. What do you think is coming next for Blizzard? Let's play wild speculation.
Let's do that. I'm a bad speculator, but I'll put my very white hat on and we'll try it anyway. I think Classic. I don't know what they'll do, but I think they'd be foolish not to do Warlords Classic. I think they shouldn't shy away from that. And I know people, like, my goodness, people love to rip on Warlords. And
Yep.
I'm in the middle of a multi-part re-exploration. I haven't kind of gotten back to the second part yet, but re-exploring Warlords and trying to find all the good stuff in it. And I think it would be perfect for either a remix or in the classic experience, because everything I hear about where people complaining about Warlords was, oh, there's nothing to do forever, or I just sat in my garrison forever, or blah, 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 blah. That stuff doesn't have to happen the second time around. No one's waiting for, the team isn't giving up on Warlords to go make Legion in Classic.
Right.
You'll play Classic for a period of time, maybe forever, but whatever it is, they keep progressing these servers. It won't be the same experience. So if your big knock on Warlords was stuff sucked back then and there was nothing to do, that doesn't apply.
Right.
So get over that, get into the expansion and see all the great, I think the zones are fantastic. I can't comment on raids and dungeons because it's not my area. I enjoy them, but I have no idea. There may be legitimate beefs about those. I have no idea, but the zones are beautiful. The questing was strong. The leap you have to take to go on that ride was a little bit funny. Like, some weird time crap going on. But once you allow yourself to take that leap, like, okay, I'm on board, whatever.
Right.
Get past that. It was a fun adventure. Like, I don't know. So I hope they do. Not that I probably won't play just for time reasons, but I do hope they do a Warlords Classic. Progressing characters out of Classic into retail. I've heard mumblings of that. I haven't heard any details, but I think it's interesting. I think I like it. I don't know. Maybe I think there's a lot of details you'd have to hammer out, making sure that it's not, which I'm sure this is not true, easier to level characters in Classic and then dump them into retail. That doesn't seem like ever a true statement, especially not Classic. But I guess you'd want to make sure that no one's gaming that system. But I do think, I made a monk in Mist's Classic to go get that mount, and also because I really like that starting zone. That was a lot of fun. I'll never probably play that character again, or at least not much. So if I could then bring her into retail, because I'm kind of a one game guy and one version of this game guy. So I would enjoy some connection there. Again, as long as it just doesn't become this weird, cheat code to doing something. I don't know. Again, that's all details, but the more cohesive they make the game, the better, I think. I imagine, not that anyone knows, but if there's a Classic Plus experience, I think they have to somehow connect that to retail in some way, maybe in a similar way. You can go do your Classic Plus character for 50 levels and then leap them over to retail. Like that would make some sense to me, I guess, maybe, as long as the games aren't too different. I don't know. That's sort of where I am on that.
Okay. What about retail? Where do you think are they going to do another trilogy, or do you like how they've kind of set this up? Or
this is definitely a disruption to our kind of routine of 2 years, then we get an expansion, 2 years expansion. So this is a little bit quicker. I think we get one less raid tier out of the deal, but I think that's fine because we're still getting a constant flow of content, and I think it's nice knowing, hey, for the next 3 expansions, the next 4 or 5 whatever years, we know where we're going roughly. We don't know a lot of details, but it's nice to know the general direction. It sounds like, when Chris Metzen says, yeah, we know what's going on in 17, dot
Right.
X, it sounds like they have a plan. And so that's where my speculation starts to fail. Like, yeah, well, they know where we're going. Why do I have to, why should I try and predict it? They know. And again, that's sort of the passive me of, yep, when they're ready, they'll tell me, and we'll go there. That said, it's interesting. I know some people kind of yearn for can we stop fighting planet-sized bosses? Can we stop fighting cosmic forces? Can we stop, with the massive stage that our characters seem to be on nowadays?
Yep.
And I agree with that a little bit. That said, we're not going to go back to the big boss being Hogger. We're not going to go all the way back.
Sure.
And I think, if you think about the cosmology chart and all of the forces that are pulling this direction, that direction on poor little Azeroth and the universe itself, even if we find a way to group up into 30 people and go defeat one part of the cosmology chart, there's going to be other parts that are, kind of pulling us in different directions. So it feels like, again, it's a little bit of, that's the leap you have to take for this story, for this fiction. This is a universe in which big, powerful forces, shadowy things, light things, whatever, they're all working behind the scenes and far away, and sometimes dipping their fingers into our real world existence. That's just a thing. So, suspend your disbelief and know that that's part of this universe. I imagine that once the Void people get smashed up a bit by us, because we're very awesome and powerful, something else is coming. So, I don't know, maybe, let's see, we are in 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, if that was another trilogy. So when he said 17, that's really far away, by the way. That's
that is
kind of fascinating. I don't know, maybe now that we get rid of a certain group of people and tamp them down, it's going to be the elementals who rise up and say, hey, we want our turn. I think we're always going to be battling big things. I don't think we're going to go back to the angry ogre in a cave somewhere. He needs to be taken down a notch. No, I think it's going to be bigger things, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. It's a dangerous universe we live in.
That is true. It is the World of Warcraft, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like if you're watching a Marvel movie. Once you accept that this alien from another realm with a giant hammer that can shoot lightning out exists, you're like, wow, I guess getting attacked by aliens isn't such a big deal anymore, right?
Right. Good point.
All right. Well, what's next for the solo queue? What do you got? What do you got coming down the pipe? What are your plans for the near future?
I made plans at the start of the year, and they immediately fell apart, which I in some ways was kind of a blessing. I remember mentioning that on the show. I'm not sure. It's been my kind of goal to get back to some of those smaller topics, like I mentioned, where I name all my characters and how that happens, and some examples of that. I was fleshing that out the other day. I don't want to get too pulled into the rhythm of, hey, here's the latest blue post from Blizzard, I should talk about it. And I'm trying to mix that. I want people to stay informed, but, as a monthly and sometimes a little bit more than monthly show, no one's, I hope, hanging on my every word as their only news source about the game, because it's not a good plan, people.
You're like, please just go listen to the Starting Zone. It'll be fine.
Do what I do. Go listen to them. Get your heck, come listen to Denethar tell you the weekly things. I'm not going to do it. So sometimes I find myself like, oh, I've been doing the news segment for like a half hour. What is the point if it's not news? So I don't want to fall too much into that trap. And I want to get back to pausing and doing these sort of side questy topics that just don't. They're not in the normal flow of the game. They're not in the normal patch cycle and all getting caught up in all of that stuff. So I think the rest of this year, that's kind of how I want to shift a little bit, not completely. I think people, like, I hope they don't mind at least my take on the news and whatever I add to the current conversation about the game. But yeah, I want to make sure I'm still getting that sort of side topic stuff in there as well.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, it's been great to talk to you. And like I said at the beginning, this has been a long time coming, at least for me. I've been really looking forward to this. So I really do appreciate you being on the show and sparing some time for Azeroth United. So thank you.
Absolutely. Well, I've been enjoying the show for, God, I was trying to think when I started listening to you. This is episode 100?
Yep.
Is that a thing? Yeah, I got to think it was around 40 or so. I think. I want to look back, but I think it was around then when I found you. So it's been a fun run listening to you weekly for more than a year. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. It's
thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it's been a journey for sure. If anyone wants to get a hold of you or reach out to you on social media, where can they find you?
Yeah. You can email me at soloqwow@gmail.com, soloq, SOLOQUEUEWOW. And I have that same name for all the social medias. Blue Sky and Twitter are the ones that I'm checking the most. So easy to find there. The others seem kind of useless to me.
Right.
Instagram, Facebook, and I think Threads. I exist on those, but no one seems to talk. So yeah, Twitter and Blue Sky are the best places.
Okay. Well, there you go. Thank you again so much for being on the show. And I'm looking forward to the next episode of Solo Q.
Awesome. Thanks.
All right, that's going to wrap up our episode. Thank you so much for listening and for watching. I really do appreciate it. It is always a pleasure and a privilege for me to go on this microphone and speak to you. I can't believe that this is the 100th episode. I'm still having a hard time wrapping my brain around it. When I started doing the episodes, I created a folder for each one so that I could save any files that I used, any sound bits or whatever. And I named them by episode and then the number. And I used 2-digit numbering system because I never in my wildest dreams thought I would get to a 3-digit numbering system. So now I have to go back and renumber all them so that they stay in the correct order because I'm a IT person and I need everything to be sorted correctly. But yeah, there you go. So 100 episodes is in the books. Hope you enjoyed. I had a lot of fun doing this episode. I had a lot of fun just doing the podcast in general. And I'm looking forward to, like I said, doing a lot more interviews with people, getting people on and just talking about not necessarily, I'm going to interview this major Twitch streamer or this major YouTuber. I just want to talk to real people who play video games and enjoy them and be able to have those conversations. So going forward, I will be reaching out to people who are fans of the show, or maybe people who I've talked to in the past, and hopefully we'll get some good interviews going. I'm still working on my interviewing skills. They're not great, as you may have heard, but I'm trying. I'm certainly trying my best. But yeah, I'm having a good time with that aspect of the show now. So if you are enjoying the show and you want to help us out, you can consider leaving us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. That really helps out the distribution. So if you are inclined to do so, we'd be very grateful. We did get a new Apple Podcast review last week. This is from Darth Sacco. It says, "Happy 100. On the cusp of 100 episodes, congratulations. Weekly show filled with WoW news and experiences from a veteran player participating in a range of content. I appreciate that perspective. 100 is a lot of weekly shows. Here's to many 100s more." Thank you so much, Darth Sacco. You are one of the best. So yeah, if you want to leave a review, I will read it on the air and call you out. So if you want to see something
funny or make me say something goofy, feel free to put that in the review as well. So I will do that. And that's yeah, that's it. The other thing you can do is if you're watching this on YouTube, you could consider leaving us a like, comment, and a subscribe on the YouTube channel. The YouTube algorithm is so weird, and I'll tell you, man, if I had to do this over again, I would not do YouTube. Like I said before, it's just so much work. So, but anyway, that's how you help us out with YouTube. If you're watching this on your on the browser or on your phone or whatever. And then finally, if you are still looking for more ways to help, you could consider joining our Patreon. Patreon is where people can give their IRL money to help out with the production of the show. So our patrons, we have 3 tiers of patrons. The lowest tier is the free tier. You can just join and see what's on there. It's not a whole lot on there. I do the episode uploads and then some post updates of what's going on with the show, the behind the scenes things that are going on. So if you want to join up on there, that would be great. If you're interested in joining the top tier, which is our friend of the show patrons, that would be amazing. But you are certainly not required to do so to listen to the show. Azeroth United will always be free, and I have no intention of changing that at any point. So, but right now I'd like to thank our friend of the show patrons. That is Judge Omni, Stuglife, Thelial, and Greybeard. Thank you all so much. You definitely help make Azeroth United possible, and I appreciate you. I really do. And that's it. That's going to wrap it up. If you want to reach me directly, you can send me a message on Twitter. I'm at Denethar on that platform. That's probably the best way to get a hold of me. And if you want to get on the Discord server, you can. It's AzerothUnitedPod.com. That's going to give you the Discord server link, the Patreon link, and pretty much anything else you're looking for. Those are all on AzerothUnitedPod.com. All right. And that's going to wrap up our show. Thank you so much. It's been so exciting to do this 100th episode. I'm really looking forward to the next 100, and hopefully at that point I'll have a better way of celebrating. But for now, this is what I got. So if you've listened to this show at all, you know that we're a little bare bones, but it is what it is. So anyway, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Remember to be good to each other out there. It's a real life person on the other side of that keyboard, and maybe they have their own podcast that they're thinking of starting, and you're going to crush their dreams by being rude to them in a Mythic Plus or something. I don't know. Just be nice. It doesn't take a lot to be nice to people, to just smile and nod. And even if you don't like them, it doesn't matter. You can let's just move on. We're all here for a short amount of time, and I think it's best that we enjoy that time the best that we can. So, that's all you can do. So anyway, all right. Take care. I love you all. And I'll see you in Azeroth.